we have seen totally. JDBC, some of you might be almost all completing the JDBC content, and some of you are having in the middle of this JDBC. But anyway, today we are going to start like what there, a new content. That content would be like what there, servlets. Okay, right, sir. Fine. Okay. In the same link, I think so. Then, if you want to get the document link, that's it. I'll share that link also to you. Then folder link given there for this, so you can take it and you can go for that document, everyday class document. That's it. Give a minute of time. Let me open it. Right. As everybody now take this link details now. Then regular class notes you are able to get here. Okay. Let me check once whether it is working or not. Right. Now we are getting it. No problem. This is a link for our notes, regular notes. Just this is a folder share I given. Inside this, of course, JDBC content and as well as like what there. And this today's servlets topic is also existed. Fine. This I'm telling there servlets document notes. Servlets notes. Now, and this is like what I'm telling there JDBC notes. 1 minute. Right. So now I want to change this one. JDBC. This is JDBC. Let me use this. Right, sir. Now this is servlets. Right. So every day class notes we are able to get here. From here we can check it. This is a URL here I'm giving now. So next one is right, sir. And I'm giving clarity. Those who are attending 10 o'clock advanced Java, this JDBC notes is not required for you. Think of it. Already given one link for you at 10 o'clock. There we can check for JDBC. Just this is for the previous students. I'm giving there. Right, sir. Anyway, then now let's come for our content here, servlets. All right, sir. Now, all of you understand this. Very first topic is like what there, what exactly the servlets, what is the requirement of the servlets, and what is the need to go for servlets. These points here we have to understand clearly. So if you want to introduce that, I'm giving some path to you, try to understand it now. Servlets is basically a server-side technologies. Servlet is basically what there, a server-side technology. Means that Whatever the environment we have seen up to now, whatever the environment we have seen up to now in programming, that is at one side. From servlets point of view, right from the servlets concepts now, we are going to see a different world of programming, a different era of programming we are going to understand. So, servlets is a server-side technology. It can be used to prepare web applications. It can be used to prepare what their web applications. Web application is one type of an enterprise application. Web application is what there one type of an enterprise application. Observe carefully. So, an enterprise application. First, we have to understand like what there an enterprise application. Then after that, we will go for what there web applications. Then after that, we are going to understand like what there servlets. So, because of that reason here, what I am telling to you, try to understand it. By using by using Java programming language, by using Java programming language, we are able to prepare two types of applications. We are able to prepare what are there two types of applications. What are the two types of applications here we are able to prepare there? Very first one is standalone applications. First one is what there standalone applications, and second one is like what there enterprise applications. Standalone applications are what their enterprise applications. These enterprise applications in general, we may call it as distributed applications. These enterprise applications is also be called as like what their distributed applications. Understand it clearly, all of you know. By using Java, what type of applications here we are able to prepare there? Alright, sir, two types of applications. What are the two types of applications here now? Alright, sir. First one is what their standalone applications, and second one is what their enterprise application or what their distributed applications. Alright, sir. Now let me show one diagram here through that I want to explain to you clearly. Observe carefully. You know, already in the previous introduction classes, I might be discussed about this point, but still, again, we have to understand the same thing. Why? Because this is a solid introduction part for servlets. What is the need to go for servlets and all? We are going to understand. All right, so now Java is a programming language. By using this Java programming language, we are able to prepare two types of applications. All right, the very first one is like what I'm telling to you, standalone applications, and second one is what their enterprise applications. All right, let's come for the standalone applications. No, standalone applications. Second one is an enterprise application. Might be people are calling it as like what their distributed application. Later on, I'll go for that clarification. All right. First of all, what is the standalone application? What is the meaning of the standalone application? All of you observe carefully. Standalone applications. If you observe this, what exactly the meaning of standalone application? If you observe this, number of times I've given definitions for it. Now try to understand it. No, if we design and execute, if we design and execute any application without using client server architecture, or without distributing distributing application logic over multiple machines, then that that application is called standalone application. Understand this clearly, that application is called as what their standalone application. Right, so many times we discussed about this point now. If we design and execute any application without using client server architecture or without distributing application logic over multiple machines, then that application is called standalone application. Right, understand this clearly. Again, there are two types of standalone applications. In general, what are the two types of standalone applications now? First one is CUI applications, and the second one is what there? GUI applications. First one is what there? CUI applications, and second one is what there? GUI applications. Understand it clearly now. Then here we have a question now. What exactly the difference between CUI application and GUI applications? Right, sir. What is the difference between a CUI application and a GUI applications? Observe carefully. This is a question. No? Already I discussed in the GUI part, the same topic, no? But again, we are going to see the content. Now try to recognize this. All right, sir. In the diagram here, we can understand there are two types of standalone applications. First one is CUI and second one is what the GUI. I'll explain to you clearly what is this actually, CUI application and GUI application. Fine. Now, for example, I prepared a Java program. For example, I prepared a Java program. This is my Java program. A program name is like what there add.java, just adding two integer values. Then I want to get some result, some integer value, another integer value is what there result I want to get. Add.java, that is my Java file. When we prepare this Java file, then we need to compile and execute this program or not? Definitely here we have to compile and execute this program or not? So now here I'm going to open command prompt. I'll open command prompt. Now this is command prompt. Now inside this command prompt, go to the location where we prepared this Java file. I might be specify the location is what there we can understand d:/java 7 for example. In this location I prepared this add.java file. So here I'll go to the location there d:/java 7. That's okay. Right, sir. Morning Java 7. Now I want to compile this program Java C space add.java Java C space add.java. This is what we are getting. Okay, my program compiled successfully. My program is not having any error. Everything is fine. Next one is d:/java 7. There we have to go for like what there Java space add. I need to provide that main class name. Observe this. Inside my add.java file, main class name is what there add. Right. When I provide Java space add on my command prompt, immediately here it is asking like what their first value. It is asking about like what their first value. There we have to enter the first value like what their 10 for example, and click on enter button. Then after that, when I click on enter button, now it is asking like what their second value. Dynamic input it is asking their second value. Then I'm going to provide like what their 20 as a second value here now. Then when I click on enter button, here my program is displaying addition result is what there 30 for example, or else maybe addition result is what there 30. In place of this addition, maybe we can understand like what their result, for example, result is what the 30. It is getting there clearly now. Everybody observe this clearly. Now, in this overall scenario, what exactly the data input I provided, what exactly the data I got some output no. If you observe this, 10 is what there, 10 is what there input to data, and 20 is what there again input to data. But what is this 30 no? 30 is what their output to data. Am I right or not? 30 is what their output data. 10 and 20 are what their input to data. 30 is what their output to data. Observe carefully. All right. One more small comparison here I'm telling to you. Now try to observe this carefully. Right, sir. Program is existed here. Now this is command prompt. Now user is existed here. This is user existed here. Right. Now understand this clearly. This is program. Here user is existed. User is interacting with this program through command prompt. Am I right or not? User is interacting with the program through this command prompt. In the point of program, if we stand at program there, this command prompt is acting as an user interface or not? This is an interface. Interface is a middle one existed between program and the user. And this interface is providing environment to interact with our program or not? What is the requirement of interacting with the program there? Just to provide some input data to the program and to get some output data from the program. So we need some interface between user and program. Understand my point, Kiano? So this interface is providing a bridge between user and program in order to provide some data to the program, input data, in order to get some output data from the user. Everybody understand this clearly now. So this bridge, this command prompt is acting as an user interface. This is acting as like what their user interface. And this user interface is supporting which type of data? Here we have taken like what their command prompt. Am I right or not? Here we have taken like what their command prompt. What type of data it is supporting there? It is supporting only character data or any graphics. Is that command prompt is displaying any images to us? Is that command prompt is displaying any text fields or radio buttons or checkboxes like that? No, command prompt is not providing graphics related content. Command prompt is supporting only any type of data in the form of characters only. In the form of like what their text data only. Am I right or not? So character oriented data only it is able to support. It's able to support what their character oriented data only. Got my point or not? So this user interface is supporting only character data. So this user interface is called as like what their character user interface. Character user interface. In short, we are able to say this is what their CUI. In short, we are able to say it is what their CUI, character user interface. On the basis of this character user interface, on the basis of this CUI, we prepare the Java program. So this Java program or the Java application is called as CUI application. This character user interface, on the basis of this character user interface only, we prepare this application. So this application is called as like what there CUI application. Everybody understand my point clearly what I'm telling you now. So now the definition is very much clear. What is my definition here? CUI application is a Java application. It was designed in such a way to take input to data from the users through the command prompt to provide output to data to the user through the command prompt, where command prompt is acting as a user interface and it is supporting only character data. So this type of application is called as like what their CUI application. Right, sir. Now let's come for the definition here clearly. What exactly the meaning of CUI application? CUI application is a standalone application first. CUI application is a standalone application. It was designed in such a way to take input data from users through the command prompt and it will provide and uh, and to take and to take and to provide output data to the users through the same command prompt to the same command prompt. Here is acting as command prompt is acting as an user interface and it is supporting only characters data, supporting only characters data. That's it. This is what exactly the meaning of like what their CUI application. All right, sir. That's okay, fine. Now this is a basic awareness on like what their CUI application. Next one is similarly, what is this GUI application? Or before that, now let me copy this particular diagram here. Just I want to give the diagram here. No? All right, sir. CUI application definition and the respective diagram here we provided here. Understand it clearly. Not required to write anything. Just listen the content here. No? See, introduction part is very, very important. Why introduction part is very, very important? No, just my intention of discussing all these points is what? To introduce servlets. I given already one path. Servlets is a server-side technology. It can be used to prepare web applications. So there we have to understand what is web application. There I'm giving the link. Web application is one type of enterprise application. So there we have to understand what is an enterprise application. Enterprise application we can prepare by using Java. So if we take Java, by using Java, two types of applications we are able to prepare. One is a standalone application, then other one is what their enterprise application. Now just brief introduction I'm giving about what their standalone application. Once you understand standalone application, then we'll move to what their enterprise application. There we are going to understand what is web application. There we are going to understand what is a servlet. From that point onwards, we are going to understand continuously servlets kernel. So this is the brief like introduction why I'm taking all these points kernel. Leave this point here. Next one is what exactly the meaning of GUI application. What is this GUI application kernel? Let's observe carefully. Right, sir. Now, okay, I want to go for one more thing. Now try to understand this. One more diagram. Try to observe carefully. Already we are aware about this type of introduction, but still, for a startup purpose, I'm talking about it. Now try to understand it. I prepared a Java file again. I prepared one Java file. My Java file name is like what there? Add.java. I prepared a Java file. My .java file is what there? Add.java. Right, sir. Next one is after this. Right, sir. I need to compile and execute my program. Whenever we prepare .java file, say for example, I prepared this .java file where d:/java 7, for example. There I prepared add.java. I want to compile and execute my program. So here I need to take like what their command prompt here we have to take. So this is the command prompt. Okay, right. Now inside this command prompt, go to the location where you saved your Java file. That is what their d:/java 7. Their compiled Java file, Java C space add.java, compiled successfully. We don't have any error as of now. Next one is d:/java 7. I want to execute it. So use Java command. There we have tried like what there add Java space add. Understand it clearly. When I provide Java space add on command prompt, when I provide Java space add on command prompt, immediately add.java program is executed. This add.java program is providing a window for us. Sorry, add.java file is providing what there a window for us. This is a window provided by add.java file. Observe carefully. Now here we are having title bar. So this is close option. This is maximize option. This is minimize option. All the things are existed here. Then after that, now here we are able to have like what there close option here. This is like what I'm telling to you, a window. Whenever we are getting this window, immediately here we are having some labels. First one is like what there, first value, label. Next one is what there, second value, second value. Then after that here we are having like what there, result. Then after that here we have a button. The label of the button is what there, add. Let's see this one. Here we are having a text field to enter the first value. Here we are having another text field to enter like what there, second value. So no text field is available to display the results now. Now initially the result is like what there, 0 is available initially. Right, sir. Now this is like what there, button. Next one is like what there, a button here we are having. So this is my a window. A window is provided here. Simply we can call it as what there, a graphical components, the graphics components what we are having there in the form of this window. Right. Now here we are having user. This is user basically. This is like what their user. This is user. Everybody understand this clearly? This is user. Nice. Observe carefully. When user is getting this type of window, then what user is going to do? Immediately, what user is going to do? By seeing this first value text field, second value text field and add button, when he see that, immediately user will provide some input data here or not. He provided 10 is a value, and here he'll provide like what the 20 is a value. Observe carefully. Now this is input data, and this is also be like what their input data. All right, sir. Then after providing this 10 and 20, immediately user will click on like what their add button. User will click on like what their add button. When we click on this add button, then what happened here? Initially 0 is available. In place of 0, 10 plus 20 internally, of course, program will take 10 and 20 as an input data. Program will perform addition operation over 10 and 20. Then it able to provide 30 as a result to the result field. 30 as a result to what their result field here. Here we are getting 30 as a value here now. Observe carefully. Now this 30 is like what there, what is this actually? This 30 no output to data. This is not input data. Now it is what there 30. 30 is what there output to data. Here we are getting. Observe carefully. 30 is like what there output to data. Right. The same scenario. User is existed here. Program is available here. Between user and program, which one is acting as an interface now? Which one is acting as an interface now? This window is acting as an interface or not? This window contains graphical components. The window contains graphical components is acting as an user interface or not? Answer my point here. Now this user interface is supporting which type of data? Graphics data. This user interface is supporting which type of data? Graphics data. Means that the data through graphical components. The data which is through graphical components. Understand this clearly. So here the user interface. Now this is acting as like what their user interface. Why? Because user is interacting with the program through this particular window only, through this particular graphical components only. So that's why it is called as what their user interface. This user interface is supporting which type of data? It is not supporting like that only character data. It is supporting the data through graphical components. It is supporting the data through what their graphical components. In these examples, only text fields have taken. Maybe if we go for more deeper example in a GUI, we are going to provide the data through list boxes, check boxes, radio buttons, maybe different GUI components we are going to provide, where the data is going to be flow through graphical components. Answer my point here. So this user interface is called as like what there graphical user interface. This user interface is called as what there graphical user interface. Answer my point here. First of all, this is a mediator between user and a program, and this is an interface. To interact with our program, user will use this interface. Or in the point of Java program, this interface is acting as what there an interaction mode for user to connect with our Java program, to interact with our Java program. That's why it is called as what there user interface. This user interface is supporting the data through graphic components. So that is what their graphical user interface. Now observe carefully. On the basis of this graphical user interface, we prepared this Java application. On the basis of this graphical user interface, we prepared this Java application. So this Java application is called as like what there GUI application. The Java application is called as what there GUI application. That's it. Now this is the basic meaning of like what there GUI application. That is like what there graphical user interface application. Right, sir. Good. Now some, for example, observe carefully here. Now this is the content here I'm taking there. Now let us go for the definition here. What is this GUI application there? GUI application is a standalone application. Right, sir? It's a standalone application. It was designed. It was designed in such a way. It was designed in such a way to take input to data through the collection of or window of whatever it may be, collection of collection of graphic components and to provide output data through the same collection of graphics data, through the same collection of graphic components, where the collection of graphic components, is called collection of graphic components is called graphical. That means user interface is called an user interface, and it is supporting graphics data. It is supporting what their graphics data, that is the data which is represented in the form of graphic components. That's it. Now this is what exactly the meaning of like what their geo application. Try to understand this clearly. Geo application is a standalone application. It was designed in such a way to take input data through the collection of graphic components and to provide output data through the same collection of graphic components, where the collection of graphic components is called an user interface, and it is supporting graphics data. That is the data which is represented in the form of what their graphic components. This is what exactly the meaning of like what their GUI application. Already I prepared this diagram here. Now try to understand this diagram now. All of you observe carefully. Right, now this is exactly the meaning of like what their graphic components here. Now here I'm telling one more point. Try to observe carefully. Standalone applications we understood clearly. Yeah, the classification is very clear. What is this classifications are now? Tell me. Standalone applications. This is a classification you will be provided. By using Java, we are able to prepare two types of applications: standalone applications and enterprise applications. Standalone applications are available in two forms: COI applications and GUI applications. Now we understood clearly the total content here. What is COI application? What is GUI application? All together. Now what I am telling there, try to understand this clearly. To prepare standalone applications, to prepare what their standalone applications, Java has provided predefined library in the form of the packages, like in the form of the packages like what there, or maybe in the form of J2SE, in the form of what there, J2SE. That J2SE includes number of packages. Observe carefully. So Java has provided predefined library, or Java has provided a predefined module in the form of J2SE, where J2SE where J2SE provided some predefined library, in the form of Java dot, in the form of the packages like, what there, java.lang, java.io. Observe carefully. You know already all these packages, no? Java.util, for the sake of the GUI, java.applet. Next one is a java.awt, and java dot like what the java x.swing, and so on and so on and so on. So many things are existed here. Observe carefully. So these are like what the J2SE packages what we are having clearly. Right, sir. That's okay, fine now. Then after that, GUI programming, this content here we provided clearly. Now let's see this one. After completion of this, after understanding this particular one, guys, observe carefully. What next one here? What type of programming here we have to understand there? Let's see this one here. What is the second one here? No, enterprise applications. Enterprise applications. Observe carefully. What exactly the meaning of this enterprise application? What is the meaning of this enterprise application? Everybody understand this clearly. Enterprise applications. The definition is very clear. Enterprise application, or what next one here? Distributed application. Both the names are okay, fine. Or distributed applications. Right, sir. What is the meaning of it? No, listen carefully. For the standalone applications, already we understood the definition. If we design and execute any application without using client server architecture or without distributing application logic over multiple machines, then that applications are called as what? Standalone applications. Similarly, if the point is what there, if we design and execute any application on the basis of client server architecture, on the basis of client server architecture, or by distributing application logic over multiple machines, distributing application logic over multiple machines, then that application is called, then the application is called as distributed application, or we may call it as like what there, enterprise applications, or we may call it as like what there, enterprise application. This is the simple definition for like what there, distributed applications or enterprise application. Don't worry, I will take again some orientation for this distributed applications perfectly. Don't think about it much now. Just a definition here we can understand. Next one. How many types of distributed applications are available? There are two types of enterprise applications. What are the two types of enterprise applications now? First one is like what there, web applications. Second one is what there, distributed applications. Observe carefully. There are two types of enterprise applications. First one is what there, web applications, and second one is what there, distributed application. Right, sir. Now I will give clarity. Now try to understand this point here. In the diagram, I want to introduce some other terminology also, but try to understand it. All right, sir. Now here we are having like what there, enterprise applications. You see this, two types of enterprise applications here. What are the two types of enterprise applications? No. First one is web applications. First one is like what there, web applications. And the second one is distributed applications. Distributed applications. And another terminology I'm providing frequently aligned with enterprise applications. What is the terminology here I'm providing there frequently? We may call it as, we may call these enterprise applications as what their distributed applications also. Either we can call them as like what their enterprise applications, or we may call it as what their distributed applications. Maybe either of this terminology here we can use. If we use enterprise applications terminology, then the two types are web applications and distributed applications. But if you use here distributed applications terminology, there we can understand, two types of these distributed applications. What are the two types of these distributed applications there? Observe carefully. The first one is like what I'm telling to you. Listen carefully. Web-based distributed applications. And the second one is like what there, a remote based distributed applications. Guys, observe carefully. If you use the terminology enterprise applications, then the actual terminology is what there, web applications and distributed applications. In place of these enterprise applications, if you say distributed applications, no, again there two types of applications are available. What are the two types of applications there? No, first one is what there, web-based distributed applications. Second one is what there, remote-based distributed applications. As per your interest, we can use either of this terminology, but frequently I'm going to use the terminology is what there, enterprise applications, web applications, and distributed applications. Of course, both are valid. Both are valid. In some situations, in some conditions, we can say enterprise application or distributed application. If we say enterprise application, then two types, web applications and distributed applications. If you say like what their distributed applications, if we think no, where again here we are having two types now. What are the two types here? First one is what their web-based distributed applications, and second one is what their remote-based distributed applications. Everybody understand this clearly now. Right, sir. They are the two types of applications here. We can understand now. Now here, I want to say like what they're web-based distributed applications, or we can say like what they're either web applications or web-based distributed applications, either distributed applications or what next one here, remote-based distributed applications. Remote-based distributed applications. That's it. Now here we are having a question. Guys, observe carefully. From now onwards, I'm going to use the terminologies what there web applications and distributed applications. I may not you go for like what they're web-based and remote-based. Of course, no, nothing is wrong to use this particular terminology. We can use either of this. Right. Now we have an important interview question here. Yeah. From this point onwards, our deviation is very much clear. Try to put more concentration. Before this common introduction only, standalone applications we understood one or two times now. But from this point onwards, we have to go for some deviation. Now try to understand it clearly. Now the question is what? What are the differences between web applications and distributed applications? Web applications and distributed applications. Right, sir. What are the differences between web applications and distributed applications? Yes. Open online class, no? Hmm? Fine. Also, you are in offline, not required to attend in online, right? No problem. But don't do that. Better. Better to attend in either in offline or in online. Don't use that both. Okay? Stop it. Stop it. Come out. What's your name? Type your name there. After. Right. Right, sir. Let's come for this point here. All of you guys observe carefully. Now, what are the differences between web applications and distributed applications now? First, understand this. All internet applications are like what their web applications. For example, we have some websites. Number of websites are available. Every website, any website is like what their web application. Think of it. But what is distributed application? I will discuss with you later on. But understand it now. What exactly the meaning of web application? Right. First definition. The very first point is like what there. Web application is a client server application. First of all, client server application. Listen carefully. Web application is what there? Client server application. Where, observe carefully, where the complete application logic, where the complete application logic is provided at a server machine. Where the complete application logic is provided at a server machine. Only a single server machine. Say for example, some news related websites are available. Say for example, what are these no enadu.net, something else like what here, then some other maybe like globe might be indiatimes.com, something else like this. So where what happened there, whether they are static pages or dynamic pages, that doesn't matter now. The point is what there. So the complete application, then whatever the server side application is available, the complete application is provided at a server machine only. The complete application logic is provided at what machine there? No, server machine only. I get my point or not? It is not distributed over multiple things. Application logic is provided at what they know at the server machine, but we are going to access it from client. That server side application we are going to access from what their client. So still it is client server application only. Still it is client server application only, but the complete application logic is available at the single server machine. So web application is a client server application where the complete application logic is provided at a server machine. But whereas, observe carefully, whereas what is this distributed application now? Observe carefully. Distributed application is a client server, is a client server application, client server application where the complete, where the complete application logic, complete application logic is distributed over multiple missions in the sense, that is multiple missions in the sense like what their client and server mission, client and server mission. Observe carefully. I'll give some, that is client, that are client and server missions. Simple diagrams I'm going to provide. Now try to understand this clearly. Why? Because from this point onwards we need to get clarity. What is web application? What is distributed application there? Then only we can understand our servlets effectively. First of all, now here I'm telling to you, observe carefully what exactly these two know. Now here I want to take, this is my server side application. Everybody understand this clearly. This is like what their server side application or maybe server mission. Now this is like what their client mission. This is like what their client mission. Web application architecture I'm telling to you, this is like what their client mission. Between these two, here we have some like what their internet, some network. Internet or some network is existed. My total application is available like what there at a server mission. This is my program which is available at server mission. Of course, at server mission, server software is installed. Inside the server software, we deploy this application, this program. This is like what their server side application. Server side application, or we can call it as like what their web application. A simple web application. Right, sir. At the client mission, I need to interact with the server side application from client mission. So if you want to access web application from client, here what we require there, here we require a tool to interact with the server side application. Here we are going to use a tool. That tool is called as a browser. Where we required a tool to send a request to the server side application to get response from the server side application. That tool is called as like what there, a browser. When we have a browser, in the browser we are able to have what there, address bar. In this address bar, here we are able to write what there, some URL. Some URL here we are going to write. What is that URL here? HTTP colon slash something else. Understand it clearly. When we write this URL and when we click on enter button with this particular URL, automatically request will be submitted to the server side application. Where at server side application, server will take that request and server will identify the web application and server will execute this total web application. Server will execute what there? This total web application. By the execution of this total web application, it able to generate some response. That response will be given back to like what there? To the browser through the network. Of course, submitting request from client to server in the sense, first network will take that request. First, who will take that request? No, network will take that request. Observe carefully. And the network will carry that request from client mission to the server mission on the basis of the server IP address and port number. Then when web application execution is completed, some response might be generated. That response will be given back to what their client. Now that response is appeared on what their browser. On browser we can see that response can. So here we can see like what their response data. Right, sir. Now tell me, my entire server side application is available at a single server mission or not? Now browser is what their browser is acting as what their a client. Really client is what there, a browser. Browser can send request to the web application. Browser can receive the response from what there, web application. So this is web application design, web application architecture. Understand clearly? This is what I'm telling you now. Now, at the same time, what exactly the meaning of distributed application? What is the meaning of distributed application here? I'm giving clarity. Now try to understand this clearly now. distributed application is like what there. Again, here it is a client server architecture. All of you observe carefully. This is my client, and this is like what there server. Everybody understand my point here? Server side program. But in the distributed application, the terminology is going to be changed. We cannot say client and server in general. We can say local machine and remote machine. We can use the terminology like what there, local machine and remote machine. Local machine and remote machine. Observe carefully. Local machine, then what next one? Remote machine. All right. As per this distributed application architecture, at remote machine, we are going to write there some application, remote application or remote service. We used to say it's what there, a remote service. Answer my point here. It's like what there, a remote service or remote application. Either of the things are okay, fine. Now, this is like what there, a Java program we are going to write at client machine also. This is like what there, local application, client application, or test case, whatever it may be, client application. This is remote service, or this is like what there, a client application. This is not a browser. Please remember this. This is not a browser. Observe carefully. Now here, between these two, what you are having there, no network is available. Between these two, network is existed here. Everybody understand this point here. Network. Okay, fine. Here we are able to have a set of finish sections. This is not browser, and this is like what there, a set of finish sections here. At the same time, here also be a set of finish sections are available. Okay, fine. Now, what's going to be happen actually when we submit a request? That means both, first of all, both the applications have to be executed. This we have to be executed, this we have to be executed. And please remember this, here we are having one JVM, and this is here we are having like what there, another JVM. Both the JVMs must be executed their applications. Now this is like what there, client side JVM, and this is like what there, server side JVM, remote JVM. Both JVMs have to run their applications. When both the applications are running parallelly, then what happened there? First, client will send request to, that means client application will send a request to what their remote service. And of course, server software is available. It will take that request, then it will identify the remote service. Now that remote service will be executed here. By the execution of these remote services, no, automatically what happened there, no, some response will be generated. That response will be given to like what their client application. The response will be given to like what their client application there. Yes, sir, got it or not? So instead of saying this client application, still I want to go for some other terminology. This is like what their local application. Local application. Local machine and local application. Of course, with respect to this remote, this is acting as a client application. Understand this clearly. So this is going on here. Now this is available here. This also be JVM. We can use it. Then this also be what their JVM. Sir, all of you get my point or not? Now just compare these two applications. In the case of web application, client is what? Browser. Our entire application is distributed at single server machine or not? But in the case of distributed applications, what happened there? Our application logic is available at both client and server or not? That means two Java programs parallelly have to be executed. Client program has to submit request to the server, remote machine. Remote program has to give some response to the client application. Got my point or not? So here client is not fixed in the case of remote applications. In the case of distributed applications, client is not fixed. Answer my point, no? Right, sir. Client is not fixed for remote application here. Client may be a normal Java program. Client may be a normal Java program with a main method. Client may be a servlet program. Client may be a servlet program. Client may be a framework application like Spring application. That client may be anything, struts application. That client may be JSF application. Anything we can take as a client. It is not fixed one. But remote service is available. That remote service is required inside like what there? Client application. Sir, all of you get my point or not? Okay, fine. Anyway, in the distributed application, application logic is distributed over multiple machines at a local machine and at what their remote machine. Still this diagram is not completed. Just wait for the minute of time. I'll explain that clearly now. Right, sir. Now here, let me conclude one point here. What is that point here? What is web application and what is distributed application here I've given? In web application, the complete application logic is provided to server machine, single server machine. But in distributed applications, the complete application logic is provided at a local machine as well as like what their remote machine here now. That means we can say instead of taking this client here, I can say like what their local mission and what next one here no a remote mission here. We can use this terminology. That will be good thing. All right, sir. This is one point. Next point number two. All of you observe carefully. In web applications, client is a fixed. That is browser. In web applications, client is fixed. That is what there. That is browser. But in distributed applications client whenever I'm taking this client no just we can understand like what their local application here up to now I'm giving clarity there. Client is local application now. Then what is this client here? Client is not fixed. Client is not fixed. It may be observe carefully, it may be a normal Java program with a main method. It may be a normal Java program with a main method, or it may be a GUI application with a applet, a normal GUI program with applet that client may be, or it may be a servlet program, it may be a servlet, or it may be a framework application, a framework applications like struts or maybe JSF or maybe what there, Spring and so on. It may be anything. It may be anything. Observe carefully. What exactly the meaning of like what there? This distributed application. I'm telling you now. Got my point or not? Let's understand this now. I want to extend the same point here. I think we are in confusion now exactly about this web application and about this remote based application there. Both are like what there? Client server might be applications only. But in this like what there? In the remote application, client is not fixed. It's definitely a Java program. It may be a normal Java program. It may be an applet, or it may be like what there, a struts application or JSF application or Spring application. It may be anything. But actually remote logic is available at what mission there? No, remote service is available. But how, sir, how this architecture is going on? Is it completely an enterprise application? If you want to make it is an enterprise application, this distribute application, if you want to make it is an enterprise application, here we are going to provide one more layer of components. What are these one more layer of components? No, now observe carefully. Here we can use like what there? A mobile phone. It may be like what there? A mobile phone, mobile client. It may be like what there? Mobile phone and mobile client. So here mobile application can, okay, then before that I'm telling to you, observe carefully. I want to take this entire local application in a server. I may use like what there? An application server. I'll keep this entire local application in what there? An application server. Maybe Tomcat or maybe Wellbrowser or whatever it may be, some server, application server. So here we may have like what there? A mobile client. Mobile client. Or maybe here we are able to have like what there? A browser. Here we may have like what there? A browser. Browser is acting as what there? A client, another client here. Web client. We can understand this clearly. This is mobile client and this is like what there? A web client. Observe carefully. Got my point or not? This may be a mobile client or it may be like what there? Web client. Anything. It may be anything. Like this, we are able to have so many components. Like this here, we are able to have what there? So many components, so many clients are available. Observe carefully. Like this, so many clients are existed here. Now here what I'm telling there, our web client, or maybe this we can take now as a consideration here, web client. It will send a request to like what their application server. Server will take that request, server will execute the respective application. Then what it will do there, this application, by the execution of this application, it will send again request to what their remote service. Remote service will be executed. Remote service will give some response here. Then it will prepare the response. That final response will be given back to like what their web application. Got it or not? This is another layer of clients are available or not. This is perfect distributed application. This is perfect what their distributed application. Observe carefully. Of course, I can give one standard example also. By that we can understand clearly. Think of it. Think of it. One simple, very simple example. All of you understand this clearly. Very, very simple example. Durgasoft has a website, durgasoft.com. Understand, guys, what I'm telling you. Durgasoft.com is available. Durgasoft is conducting some courses. Say, for example, today you are attending these courses now. Okay? Today you are attending this demo class, for example. So you want to register for the course. You want to register for the course. So that means you want to pay the payment for this course. Understand it clearly. So what user wants to do, one approach is, in general, what is the approach here we are following there? User make a call to our Durgasoft front office. They will get details, and that front office people are giving some account details. Then users are giving some payment. It is worked out in a small scale applications, in small scale organizations. In very small scale organizations, it's okay, it will be worked out. But if Durgasoft is a large scale organization, per day, how many customers are coming there? Not like 10 or 20 or like this customers now. Maybe thousands of customers are coming every day. Thousands of customers are coming every day. How they're going to pay the payment now? Do you think about it? All thousands of customers are calling to Durgasoft front office. They're getting account details and again paying that payments now. Is it worked out in this scenario? No. Why? Because per day 1000 number of calls for a single mobile number, in the sense, of course, our people are unable to lift that calls. Automatically that we are going to lose our business. And even customers are also be not satisfied very well. So this is not the right solution. Then what is the right solution there? Right solution is what there? That payment we have to made it automatically. Automatic, that means gateway we have to provide. Payment gateway we have to provide. So as a solution, what we are going to provide there, in a durgasoft.com, we need to provide some option for payments. We have to allow payments through what there? Durgasoft.com. Okay, clear. Now here what we have done there, in a durgasoft.com, inquiry for the course, register for the course. Two modules here we provided. If you want to know details of this course, inquiry for the course. After getting some inquiry, if you want to register for the course, register course option is available. Then go for this course. Click on this course, then select the courses, no, then go for what other payment process. There is a button there. If you click on that button, then payment gateway page here we are able to get. Got it or not? Okay. In that payment gateway, you may enter your data. What data here we are able to enter? The maybe credit card number, or maybe UPI numbers, UPI ID, something else. Here we are able to provide different modes of payments now. Finally, proceed for payment option is available. You may click on that proceed for payment. When we click on that, then what will happen there? Again, that payment request will come to durgasoft.com only. Now, observe carefully. Now, if durgasoft.com wants to accept the payments now through online, Durgasoft must require banking services or not? Durgasoft must require what their banking services or not? But Durgasoft doesn't have its own banking service now. Durgasoft is not a bank service. Durgasoft is what there is a training institute. It doesn't have any bank as of now. But it must take some banking services or not? Durgasoft must have one account now, account there, and that account must be available in a particular bank. Then all the transactions which are incoming to the durgasoft.com, that all the transactions must be diverted to the respective bank or not. So Durgasoft needs one bank service or not. Say for example, understand this clearly. Durgasoft wants to take the banking services from ICICI Bank. ICICI Bank. Durgasoft has an account number in ICICI Bank. Durgasoft wants to get services from what there? ICICI Bank. Observe carefully. Okay, this is the scenario. Whenever we click on proceed for payment, request will come to Durgasoft. Then immediately what Durgasoft has to do now, that request must be bypassed to what there, that request will be sent to what there, that bank, corresponding bank. Bank people will perform the respective transaction. Then acknowledgement of the transaction will be given to durgasoft.com. Now durgasoft.com will provide some UI part and it able to send that receipt of the respective transaction to the respective user. Yes, sir. Got my point or not? Now just compare that architecture in our mind. Now think about this architecture now. Distributed application. Now this is user, web client, for example, user, myself is a user. Now I open my computer, then where I open my browser, where I type it durgasoft.com. Think of it, this local application is what there, durgasoft.com, my web application. Durgasoft.com is running under server, one application server. Now this remote service is what there, ICICI Bank. Remote service is what there, ICICI Bank. Then where bank service is available. Got my point or not? Right, sir, exactly. Now here, when a user type www.durgasoft.com, Durgasoft home page, then request is coming to the Durgasoft website. Durgasoft website is giving like what there, that home page information to the respective user. In that home page, inquiry for course and register for course, two options are available. Of course, he might be click on inquiry for the course. Again, request will come to durgasoft.com. Durgasoft.com is providing that course inquiry details, courses list. He might be identified that course is there. Then immediately may go for what there, register for the course. When you click on register for the course now, again request will come to what there, request will come to durgasoft.com. Now this time durgasoft.com will provide one course registration page. Inside this course registration page, course name and course details, along with that course details no, payment details are also be provided. Credit code number or debit code number or maybe UPI payment, some kind of UI has to be provided. Then user may select that what their UPI payment no, UPI payment or especially phone pay payment no, he may click on that phone pay option there. Automatically it is asking about that phone pay ID, mobile number or maybe some phone pay ID is available. ICICI, okay ICICI.com or something else no, the respective thing here. Then when that phone pay ID is available, he may enter that phone pay ID, then immediately may click on what their process pay. When you click on this process pay, request will come to what there, durgasoft.com. Now durgasoft.com is going to consume that ICICI payment service, ICICI payment service. Got my point or not? Now durgasoft.com is going to access what there, ICICI provided payment service. Then whenever this service here we are consuming from this Durgasoft website, no, automatically the payment is going to be done at ICICI Bank. Then transcript will be provided to the durgasoft.com. The transcript will be prepared in the form of like what there in user interface. That user interface related transcript will be provided back to what there web client. Now client is able to get the confirmation of the course and the acknowledgement for like what there respective payment. Everything is going to be happen. Now tell me here, local application is required or not? That is durgasoft.com server-side application. That's why I said to you, in a distributed application, client may be a normal Java program, or it may be a servlet, or it may be a JSP base, or it may be a GUI application, or it may be a struts application, or it may be a JSF application, or it may be a Spring application. It may be anything. Client may be anything, but server side application is what, the remote application is what there, it should be a Java application, it should be in the form of a service. Now in this overall example, now tell me web client or mobile client. Maybe if you want to operate everything through mobile phone, we can use that mobile client. Mobile client can interact with what there, our server side application, Durgasoft application. Durgasoft application will consume that remote service there, ICICI provided remote service. All of you get my point or not? Now here, now tell me, is it clear cut distributed application or not? Will you do the same thing with this particular application here with the web application? No. Right, sir. Now understand this. In this particular distributed application, two parts are available. What are the two parts here? Observe carefully. This part, exactly this part, this web client and application server, local application. This part is what their web part. This part is what their web part. Yes, sir. All of you are getting my point or not? Only these two is what their web part. Now observe carefully. These two parts, if you observe this part here, now this entire part is what their distributed part. This part is what their distributed part. We can understand this client and up to half of this one is what their web area, web environment. Then remaining half of the like this one, remaining half of the application server side application and this remote application. This is like what their distributed part here. Both integration is nothing but what there? An enterprise application. Get my point or not? Then web and as well as what they're distributed, both are integrated. Then it is like what they're very good an enterprise application. So take any example nowadays. Nowadays, maybe that payment gateways are implemented through WhatsApp also. We can do some payments even through WhatsApp also. There also the same kind of architecture is going on. Understand my point here? Not only that, even that Facebook or anything, any kind of nowadays, that applications are going to be used what their distributed environment clearly. Right, sir. This is exactly the point here what I'm telling to you. Right, sir. Then after that. Now the second point here I've given there, in the case of web applications, client is fixed, that is what their browser. But in the case of distributed applications, client is not fixed. Local application is not fixed. It may be a normal Java program with a main method. It may be a geo application with applet. It may be a servlet. It may be a framework applications like Struts, JSF, Spring, and so on. Observe carefully. All of you are getting clarity or not? Right, sir. This is the second point here I'm telling them. Okay. Right, sir. Few more points are available. I'll discuss with you that few more points maybe in the next class. But understand it. Anyway, it's a somewhat introduction concepts here I'm taking, that total, what exactly the content I'm going to be covered about the servlets and JSP is there. You will get as a link. You'll get as my what there WhatsApp message there. There we can get like what the total syllabus what I'm going to be covered as a part of the advanced Java. Right, servlets and JSPs are very much important if you want to move further in the Java environment. That is one thing, guys. Observe carefully. Okay. Then another point here, what I'm telling to you. All right, sir. Observe carefully. Then what I'm telling there, those who are in packages like advanced Java with the packages might be some of you are taken. Next one is what there basic Java, not basic Java. Basic Java package up to advanced Java it's okay, but complete Java package and full stack Java. Next, after completion of this class, immediately we are having like what there Springer class. Today I'm going to take demo for what there Springer class. Observe carefully what I'm telling there. So you have to attend that Springer class also. That's the point here. Good. After that. Anyway, then I'll continue this part here in the next class. But when we are going to have next class there, when we are able to have next class here, observe carefully. Next class will be on Monday. Monday onwards, continuously I have to take like what there, that is servlets class only. Just today's basic introduction class, up to 2 points of this distributed application and web application we discussed there. Remaining part I will discuss with you on what there, Monday. Understand my point clearly? But tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, for servlets, we don't have any session. But in my old JDBC, 2 topics are remaining. The 2 topics I'm going to take. That means one topic is remaining. The topic I want to complete, that is like what the row sets. So those who are attending regular JDBC 7 o'clock, you can come at tomorrow 7 o'clock. I'll take like what their row sets topic there. Answer my point now. But continuation of these servlets we are able to get on what day? On Monday. Observe carefully. Continuation of these servlets we are able to get on what there? Monday. Monday onwards, we are going to continue the content here. That's one thing. Observe carefully. Next, next, next Monday onwards, I'm going to take no. Observe carefully. The classes will be from Monday to then what we are thinking there Monday to Sunday. I think some of you might be thought about up to Saturday, right? No, then Monday to Sunday, including Sundays, we are planning the classes, especially on Saturdays and Sundays. Maybe max on Sundays. I'm planning there Sundays. Somewhat extra time we are going to take. Sundays extra time I'm going to take at least 3 hours of time I want to take. If it is possible from Saturday also. Saturday and Sunday, I want to take 3 hours on the servlets. Our intention is we have to complete a bit earlier more this advanced Java. For the frameworks people I'm telling there, those who are attending these frameworks know, as well as possible, if I complete these servlets and JSPs, there I'm going to start a Hibernate in place of the servlets and JSPs. Today at 8:30 I'm planning for what their spring. 8:30 to 10 spring. After that spring board. After that microservices. Then at morning 7 o'clock when I complete these servlets and JSPs, in place of this Hibernate I will start. Once Hibernate is completed, then I will plan for what their web services. These are like what the schedules clearly I'm telling there, right? Anyway, whatever it may be, those who are in packages, those who have taken already packages there, those who want to attend for the packages, no, you must attend for the spring class today at 8:30, 8:30 to 10. I'm going to take the class. Then I'm going to give clarity what I'm planning there, what I'm going to discuss with you clearly. Right, sir? Then after that, continuation of this alert class is going to be happen on what there? Monday. Please remember this. This is a link I'm giving for the sake of watching our course material, like what are the classroom notes. Try to use this one. If it is possible, I'm going to upload some applications inside this link itself. Classroom application there. If I prepare any application there, I'm going to upload that application into the respective content. Guys, understand this clearly, what I'm telling you, right? That's all, guys. That's all for today. Then we'll meet on like Monday. We can understand this clearly. But tomorrow and day of tomorrow, those who are attending JDBC classes, that we can come there. Some one topic is remaining. I'll complete the topic there, right? That's all, guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on Monday, probably on tomorrow for JDBC. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Abhishek Sharma, not for you. Those who are attending 7 o'clock previously, they will come. Right. I think you are attending at what time there, Abhishek Sharma? At 10 o'clock, right? Yeah, 10 a.m. Not for you. Not for you. Previously, those who are attending 7 o'clock, they will come here. Then your class timing is as usual. Today we can attend at 10 o'clock, then I'll give clarity, right? Okay, fine. I don't know with the frameworks package. Should I join spring class? Yes, exactly. Abhijit Ross, just we can attend for it. Spring class. The link for spring class already I given that. Already is available in the website. No, just check for that. Yeah, you can join with that. Right, guys. Now let me start spring class. No, within 10 minutes I'll start it. Okay, attend for it. Join 6 p.m. class with which class I have to join. Uh, uh, Pratmesh Madalkar. I think these batches are not for you. Okay, for you separately I will start advanced Java and as well as like what there some other. Don't come for this class there. You will not understand this. If you're at evening 6 p.m. core Java, then these classes are not suitable for you. Those are in a 6 p.m. core. See, we must have knowledge in JDBC and server core Java, complete core Java. Then only you can understand all these things. Not required to attend these classes. And separately, I'll give that information there. Yesterday, I given already information to you at 6 o'clock. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. But you may not understand this if you attend that. Still, try to attend today. Then we'll check the possibility. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Is my voice is clear to all of you guys? Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Is my voice is clear to all of you guys? Right, right. Right. Good morning, guys. And check it in the last class. So just given the very basic awareness on servlets and the types of applications what we prepared in our content. Right, sir. Now let's see the content what I've given. I think we are discussing about the types of applications. Now tell me, all of you now tell me how many types of applications are existed there in Java. By using Java, we are able to prepare two types of applications. What are the two types of applications here we are able to prepare there? One is standalone applications, another one is what there? Like distributed or enterprise applications. They are the two types of applications here we are able to prepare. That's okay, fine. Now here, I'm asking one question there. What exactly the difference between standalone application and enterprise application or distributed application? If we come for this point, answers are very clear. If we design and execute any application without using client server architecture or without distributing application logic over multiple machines, then that application is called as standalone application. Again here, how many types of standalone applications are available? Two types of standalone applications. What are the two types of standalone applications here we are having there? First one is CUI application and second one is what there? GUI application. They are the two types of applications. So what is this CUI application and what is this GUI application there now? CUI application is a standalone application. It was designed in such a way to take input data from users through the command prompt and to provide output data to the users through the same command prompt. Your command prompt is acting as an user interface and it is supporting only characters data. Due to that reason, we can conclude that CU application, which are designed on the base of like what there, command prompt, they're nothing but what there, CUI application there now. And some diagrammatic representation also we are given there. Then after that, GEO application. What exactly the GEO application? GEO application is a standalone application. It was designed in such a way to take input to data through the collection of graphic components and to provide output data through the same collection of graphic components. Where the collection of graphic components is called an user interface and it is supporting graphics data. That is the data which is represented in the form of graphic components. To prepare standalone applications, Java has provided a separate module in the form of what there J2SE, where J2SE has provided some predefined library in the form of the packages like java.lang, java.io, java.util for the sake of geo application, java.applet, java.awd, javax.spring, and so on. These many things are existed here now. Then after that, a simple diagram here I given there for this. After completion of this, then we started with what there, an enterprise application. What is the meaning of this enterprise application? Enterprise application or distributed application. If we design and execute any application on the base of client server architecture or by distributing application logic over multiple machines, then that application is called distributed application or enterprise application. There are two types of enterprise applications or distributed applications. One is web applications, another one is what are the distributed applications. In other words, we can say web-based distributed applications, and second one is what they remote-based distributed applications. Then immediately here we are having a question. What are the differences between web applications and distributed applications? Now this question here we are getting clearly. That's it. All of you are getting clarity, no? There are given one or two differences clearly. The very first difference here I've given there, web application is a client server application where the complete application logic is provided at a server machine. Distributed application is a client server application where the complete application logic is distributed over multiple missions. What are these multiple missions actually? Local mission and a remote mission. Right, sir. In web applications, the client is fixed, that is browser. In web applications, client is always browser only. In a distributed applications, in a distributed applications, client is not a fixed. It may be a normal Java program with main method. It may be a Geo application with an applet. It may be Geo application with an applet. It may be a servlet, or it may be a framework application like what there, Struts, JSF, Spring, and so on. These are like what there, what I'm telling there clearly, that what exactly the meaning of like what there web application and what is the meaning of like what there distributed application or an enterprise application. Up to this point here we understood clearly. At the end, I will take an example where I will show what is the role of the web and what is the role of the distributed application in an enterprise application there. I will take one example, through that I will explain to you then how web part and the distributed application part, business part is existed in our enterprise applications clearly. Right, sir. Now let's see the next point here. After completion of this, the third point here, all of you observe carefully, listen carefully. To prepare web applications, to prepare web applications, we have to use a set of technologies. We have to use a set of technologies called web technologies. What technologies can we have to use there? Web technologies. What are the various examples for these web technologies now? If we observe this clearly, HTML, then CSS, and so on. These are pages design totally. But with respect to Java, I'm talking there to prepare these web applications. That means server-side web application. I'm talking there. For that purpose, here we are having some other technologies like what there, CGI, right? Common Gateway Interface is one of the technology. Next one is like what there, servlets. Next one is what there, JSPs. Next one is what there, PHP. Next one is what there, parallel, and so on and so on and so on. So many. And if you observe carefully, so many technologies are available to prepare web applications. Of course, out of all these things, only the two technologies are getting very much demand in outside. What are the two technologies there? That is servers and JSPs. These two technologies are having very good demand in outside. But we need to understand clearly why servers and JSPs are getting very good demand when compared with the other web technologies. Right, now similarly, now come for this point. To prepare distributed applications, to prepare distributed applications, we have to use a set of, we have to use a set of technologies, we have to use a set of technologies called distributed technologies. Called as what there? Distributed technologies. A set of technologies called as distributed technologies. What are the various examples for distributed technologies here? If you observe this, so many technologies are available. Even in a J2SE also, one or two small technologies are available which are of course outdated. What are the things here we have to understand? Socket programming. If you observe my core Java classes there, where I've given networking topic, socket programming, where two programs I'm prepared, client program and server program. Then by running both the programs, we establish some communication between both the programming, no, both the programs. So that's like what the local mission, remote mission, local application and remote application. Local application is interacting with the remote application and remote application is interacting with the local application, where some socket programming we have seen. Not only that, in the extension of socket programming, I given another technology is like what there, a remote method invocation, RMI. A method is available at remote mission. That method we want to call from what there, local mission. Local mission wants to access what there, that remote methods, which are available at a remote mission. So this is RMI, that already we have seen that. Corba, common object request broker architecture or agent. Both are okay, fine. Common object request broker architecture agent. It's one type of distributed technologies. Next one, after that, EJBs, Enterprise Java Beans. Enterprise Java Beans. It's like what there, EJBs. This is another one. Apart from the EJBs, next one is like what there, we can understand web services. Web services. This is another technology, another distributed technologies, the pure distributed technologies, and so on. If anything is remaining, then we can include that clearly. Right, so now these are the various technologies here we have to understand. To prepare web applications, we have to use a set of technologies like what are there, web technologies, CGI, servlets, JSPs, PHP, parallel, and so on. To prepare distributed applications, we have to use a set of technologies called distributed technologies. Like examples are like what there, socket programming, RMI, Corba, EJBs, web services, and so on. Right, so these are the technologies point of view we can understand about like what there, like distributed technologies and like what are their web technologies and web applications and distributed technologies. All right, so that's okay, fine. All of you observe carefully. One more point I'm telling to you. Listen carefully, all of you know. Both web applications and distributed applications, both are server-side applications or not. Both the web applications and distributed applications, both are server-side applications or not. Understand it clearly? Yes, definitely both are what their server-side applications only. Both are on the base of like what their client-server architecture. Definitely both are required what their communication. Understand it clearly? What I'm telling you now. Fine. To run both the applications, to execute both the web applications and distributed applications, to run both the applications, to run both the applications, we need server. We need server software. Without server or without server software, we are unable to execute web applications and as well as like what their distributed applications. In both the cases, what we require there no server we require. Observe carefully. How many servers are available in outside? How many types of servers are available in outside? If you observe this, different types of servers are available for this. That very first one is like what their web servers, and the second one is what their application servers. Even examples for them is also not required immediately, but understand it no, two types of servers are available. What are the two types of servers? No, web servers, and the second one is what their application servers. Observe carefully. Here my question is, what is web server and what is an application server? What is the meaning of web server and what is the meaning of application server? This is my question. Listen carefully. Web server is able to provide, web server is able to provide environment to execute only web applications, not providing support for distributed applications. Web server is able to provide support for or service for or is able to provide very good environment to execute only web applications, not to execute any distributed applications. But whereas application server, if you observe this, application server is able to provide very good environment to execute both the types of applications, like web applications and distributed applications. Any type of application here we can execute. All the types of applications we can run through what their like application server. But web server is able to provide environment for only what their web applications. Observe carefully what I'm telling you. Now here we don't require the comparison between web server and application server, but here we need the comparison between like web application and distributed application. If you observe this point clearly, web applications are executed by only web servers. Sorry, web applications are executed by both web servers and application servers. Guys, are able to follow my point or not? Web applications are executed by both web servers and application servers. Web applications are executed by both web servers and application servers. Why? Because application servers can execute both web applications and distributed applications. Web servers can execute only web applications. That's why given the point is like what there, web applications are executed by both web servers and application servers. But distributed applications, whereas distributed applications are executed by distributed applications are executed by only application servers. Distributed applications are executed by only what their application servers. Understand my point clearly? No? Still, if you are thinking about the example for this web server and application server, nowadays majority of the servers are application servers only. But still, if you want to take an example for web server, Tomcat 5.x version up to Tomcat 5.x version is like what their web server. Answer my point, you know. Then WebLogic or Glassfish. I think we already seen that WebLogic server, right, in JDBC, right? How to use that WebLogic server provided, JNDA provided data source. Already we have seen some examples over it. So WebLogic server, Glassfish server, Wildfly server or JBoss server, all these are related to what their application servers. All of you understand this clearly. All right, sir. Now this is one point. Next, I'm asking one more question to all of you guys. Now try to answer for it. Everybody. All of you answer for my question now. Who's executing our Java applications? Come on, guys. Who's executing our Java applications? JVM. Without having second thought, we can say JVM is executing our Java applications. Am I right or not? Another question. My another question here. Inside the JVM, who's executing our Java programs now? Come on. Inside the JVM, who's running our Java programs now? An interpreter. Who's executing now? An interpreter. Interpreter is executing our Java applications. Clear or not? Right, 1 minute. Right, sir. Similarly, similarly, right, similarly, server side applications are executed by servers. In general, we can say like this. Server side applications are executed by whom? Servers. This is in general awareness now. But my next question is inside the server, inside the server, who's responsible to execute our server side components? Server is able to execute server side components. That's nice. But inside the server, so many components are available. Which component is executing our server side components? That which tool or which thing is executing our server side component? If we come for this particular point, answer is very clear. Try to understand it. No, inside the server, there is a separate tool or component is available to execute our server side components. No, that separate one is container. The separate one is what there? Container. All of you observe carefully. Simple comparison. If I ask a question to you, who will execute Java program? JVM. Inside the JVM, who will execute Java program? No, an interpreter. Similarly, who will execute our server side program? No, server. Inside the server, who will execute our server side components? No, container. Container is able to execute our server side components. Yes, all of you are getting my point or not? Now listen carefully. Web application is the combination of web components like servlets and JSPs. Am I right or not? Web application is the combination of the web components like servlets and JSPs. These web components are executed by a separate container. These web components are executed by a separate container, that is web container. That is what their web container. Again, depending on the type of the web component, again, so many containers are available. One is a servlet container to execute servlet components. Other one is a JSP container to execute JSP components, and so on. So many containers are available. CGI container, maybe depending on the technology. Depending on the server side technology, what we have used to prepare components, no, a separate container was provided. One is a web container. Next one is what there? JSP container. That means web container in the sense servlet container, JSP container, and so on and so on and so on. So many containers are existed. Similarly, distributed application is the collection of Java beans and the collection of distributed components like EJB components. Distributed application is a collection of Java beans and the distributed components like what they're EJB components, which are executed by a separate container. These distributed components are recognized and executed by a separate container. That is what their distributed container. An example for a distributed container is what their EJB container. An example for a distributed container is what their EJB container. So now my point is very much clear when we compare the differences between web application and distributed application? Your answer is very clear. Try to understand it. No, web application is the collection of web application is a collection of web components. Web components. Here, web components are executed by the web containers like servlet containers, comma JSP container, and so on in web servers. In the servers, that's it. I'm telling to you in the servers. It may be web server or it may be like what the application server, whatever it may be in the servers. All these are like what they're different containers inside what they're servers, inside the servers that we have to understand now. Next one is after that. Distributed applications, distributed applications, distributed application is the collection of distributed distributed components like Java beans, comma EJB components and so on. EJB components and so on. All right, sir. Where where the distributed components are executed by the distributed containers like EJB container and so on. That's it. Understand my point? No? Web application is a collection of web components where web components are executed in the web containers like what there servlet container, JSP container, and so on. Right, sir. By the web containers like what there servlet container, JSP container, and so on in the servers. Distributed application is a collection of distributed components like Java beans, comma EJB components. No, where the distributed components are executed by the distributed containers like what there EJB containers in the servers. In the servers, the server should be what there application server only. The server should be like what there application server only. Everybody understand this point clearly. Next one is after that, after completion of this web application and distributed application, their servers and containers related information here we provided here. Next one is after that, all of you observe carefully. Right, sir. There is a question. Web and distributed applications both are developed by Java only. Why web server not supporting, like web server not supporting for distributed applications? Yeah, there I'm giving some point to you now. Try to understand it clearly. But if you want to answer for this question, we have to talk right from very starting point of the technologies. But anyway, in a simplified manner, I want to give conclusion for it. Now try to understand it now. Here the question is what there? Both web servers and application servers are designed by using Java only. Okay, or maybe web applications and distributed applications are designed by using Java only, but why web servers are not supporting distributed applications? This is a question, guys. All of you observe carefully. Right. In general, initially at a very startup stage of the technologies, at a very beginning stage of the application development, server side application development, there we have only web servers. There we have only what their web servers. Their intention is also be like what they not to provide any dynamic response. They have to provide only what their static response. What is the meaning of the static response now? Just like websites, 10 or 50 number of pages we have to provide. If I click on one hyperlink, I want to move from one page to another page. Up to that one I want to have. For because of that reason here, we are going to have like what there some servers. That's the meaning of initial intention of web servers. Understand my point here. But later on, as per the application requirements, we have to provide, or maybe developers have to provide some dynamic response in web applications also. As per the later on requirements, some dynamic response has to be provided in web applications also. That situation is coming. Not completely dynamic response, a little bit. As per the requirement, a little bit we have to generate some dynamic response. By this only, the technologies like servlets and JSPs, these kind of things are provided. Understand my point here? So later on, by introducing these servlets and JSPs, no, later on, some web servers are converted into to execute servlets and JSPs to generate little bit dynamic response, not only static response. Along with the static response, little bit dynamic response is going to be provided. In that way, that web servers are converted to provide little bit dynamic response. Understand my point here? This is a story. But initially, at starting point of the applications, no, application servers are available. They're purely for the sake of what their dynamic response. They're purely for the sake of what their dynamic response can. The complete dynamic response can. Especially like distributed technologies like EJBC is available. It's purely server-side programming. Then distributed local mission or remote mission kind of requirement is coming there. They're purely for the sake of what their dynamic response. But later on, web applications are also be generating a little bit dynamic response. No, so web servers are turned to generate little bit dynamic response. This is initial intention of the web servers and application servers. Observe carefully. Right, sir. Later on, what I'm telling there, after that, another point is what there. Web servers are providing little bit dynamic response and more concentration is on what their static response. Distributed application servers are totally for the sake of what their dynamic response and especially EJB's applications. Right. Now here the point is what there. Distributed applications require some middleware services. Distributed applications are required what there? Some middleware services like a security service maybe, transaction service maybe, connection pooling service maybe, exception handling services maybe, like this JCA, Java Connector Architecture maybe, like a JNDA service maybe. So many middleware services are required inside like what the distributed application. But these many middleware services are not required in what their web applications. These many middleware services are not required in what their web applications, but full of middleware services are required in what their distributed applications. As per the concentration of the web applications and its a lesser dynamic response, web servers are prepared now. So they are not giving much support for all the middleware services. They're able to give like middleware services support up to one or two services. But the distributed applications are required full of middleware services, no. So application servers are mainly for distributed applications, no. So application servers are giving that full stack of the middleware services support. Understand my point here? So because of that reason, web servers are not sufficient to execute distributed applications, but whereas application servers are sufficient, are supporting, are giving that full environment for executing what their distributed applications. The simple conclusion, forever question in a single line, if you want to conclude, no, only one point I'm telling there. Web applications doesn't require middleware services completely, but whereas distributed applications required middleware services completely. So to run web applications, web servers are sufficient. Web servers are providing web environment, but not complete stack of the middleware services. But whereas distributed applications require complete stack of the middleware services, where application servers are providing the complete stack of the middleware services. Because of that reason, to execute web applications, web servers and both application servers are utilized, but to execute distributed applications, only application servers are utilized, web servers are not sufficient. Their capabilities are not sufficient. Yes, sir. All of you are getting my point or not? So because of that reason, web applications are executed in both the servers, but distributed applications are executed in only application servers. Please remember this point clearly. Right, sir. Nice, guys. Now let's move on to the next point here. Yeah, the same point. The sixth point almost all related to the same point. Now try to understand it clearly. Web applications, web applications are mainly for static response and a little bit dynamic response from servers. A little bit dynamic response from servers. Understand, guys, what I'm telling to you, know, a little bit dynamic response from servers. That means it's more focus is on what there, static response and a bit dynamic response. That is up to servers and JSPs only. Observe carefully. But now understand this clearly about this distributed applications I'm telling there. distributed applications are having main concentration on the communication between distributed applications are having the main concentration on the communication between local mission local mission and the remote mission in order to consume remote services from local mission in order to consume remote services from local mission. More concentration is going on what there on the communication between on what their communication between local mission and remote mission in order to access a remote mission application, remote service. The remote service is available at what there some other mission there clearly. Understand my point here now? So now understand clearly. Web applications are mainly for what their static response and a little bit dynamic response on server. But distributed applications are mainly for what they're how to establish communication between local mission and remote mission and how to access that remote service, how to consume remote service which are available at what they're no remote missions kernel. This is what exactly the meaning of like what there the differences between web applications and distributed applications. But so like this, so many differences are available. But at present, these differences are sufficient to understand our requirement to go for web applications. That basic awareness is sufficient here, clearly. No? Right, yes. Then again, I'm asking, do you know, try to answer for it? What exactly the differences between web applications and distributed applications? They may be at a fresher level, interviewer may ask this question to you. There we have to give right answer for it. Now understand this clearly. The very first difference is what I'm telling to you. Web application is a client server application where the complete application logic is provided at a server machine. Whereas distributed application is a client server application where the complete application logic is distributed over multiple missions that are local mission and remote mission. Next one is what there. In web applications, client is fixed, that is browser. In distributed applications, client is not a fixed. It may be a normal core Java program with main method. It may be a geo application with an applet, or it may be a servlet, or it may be a framework applications like what there, Structure, JSF, Spring, and so on. Next one is after that. To prepare web applications, we have to use a set of technologies called web technologies. All right, so to prepare distributed applications, we have to use a set of technologies called distributed technologies. Examples for distributed technologies are like what there? Socket programming, RMI, Corba, EJBs, web services, and so on. Next one here. Web applications are executed by the web servers and application servers, whereas distributed applications are executed by only application servers, not by web servers. Still, if you want to talk about the more internal reason, web applications doesn't require web services, middleware services, whereas distributed applications require middleware services. Web servers are not providing full stack middleware services, no, as a support, but application servers are providing what there all middleware services support. So because of that reason, application servers are only for what their distributed applications, and web servers are not for what their distributed applications. Leave this one. Web application is a collection of web components where web components are executed by the web containers like servlet container, JSP container, and so on in the servers. Distributed application is a collection of distributed components like Java beans, EJB components, where the distributed components are executed by the distributed containers like what their EJB container in the servers. Next one, web applications are mainly for static response and a little bit dynamic response from servers, but the dynamic, that means distributed applications are having main concentration on the communication between local mission and a remote mission in order to consume remote services from local mission. Yes, sir, all of you are getting it or not? Now, all of you observe carefully. I'm going to give one conclusion. Now try to understand it now. In general, enterprise application is the combination of web layer and distributed distributed application layer, distributed application layer. Again, I'm telling to you, try to understand it clearly, where web layer is mainly for presentation in enterprise application, where web layer is mainly for what their presentation, how much in a more effective way we are presenting the content to the user, getting data from user and presenting data to the user. Answer my point, Keno. And distributed distributed application layer is mainly for business logic. Is mainly for what their business logic. Mainly for what their business logic. That's it. This is that another point here I'm telling to you clearly in what their enterprise application. In other words, I'm telling to you enterprise application, enterprise application is equal to web plus distributed web application and distributed web plus distributed, both web layer and what next one, distributed layer plus a distributed layer. You can understand it, both the combination is nothing but what there, an enterprise application. Sir, all of you are getting clarity or not? Now let's come for one simple example. All of you, I want to take one simple example, through that I'll explain to you. By that you can understand what is the role of web and what is the role of the distributed now. Right? Right, sir. Now observe carefully. For example, Durga Soft wants to allow the students to register courses through online. Of course, online classes are available and offline classes are available. Both are existed now. But if you want to register for the courses, Durgasoft is allowing some online courses registration. That portal is provided by Durgasoft, for example. Okay. So how it is possible there? Durgasoft.com website is available. Through the Durgasoft.com only, now this total transactions maybe, that courses registration maybe, everything is going to be happen. Got my point or not? But how it is going to be performed, how it is going to be provided there now. Let's see this part here. First of all, here we are having durgasoft.com. This is like what I'm telling there, a website, durgasoft.com website. This is like what there, durgasoft.com, a website. Understand it? This website was designed on the base of like what there, Java. Or maybe you can use might be some other technologies, but assume it's a Java. All right, sir. Now inside this, then what we are having there, registration form is available. Course registration form is available, that is opened by user in our system, in our browser, www.durgasoft.com. When we type no, Durgasoft home page will come, where course registration link, if we click there, it is asking which course you want to register. Then if you select some course, for example Java, automatically the course registration form will open for us. Now this is like what I'm telling there, registration form dot HTML, or maybe JSP, HTML or JSP, whatever it may be. For your understanding purpose, I have taken like what there, HTML. Observe carefully. Right, sir. As simple as I want to provide some simple fields. No, try to understand this. First of all, name of the student. That's enough. Next one is like what there, course. What course here we want to take? Then after that, when we select the course, automatically fee is going to be selected. Then after that, next one is credit code details, credit code number, or we can go for like what there UPI payment and UPI ID. Anything, whatever you want to use it, that payment option is available there. But for example, if you want to go for like what their credit code number. Okay, then whenever we are taking this credit code number like this, no, here we want to go for like what there directly submit button. Submit button. Of course, in the real-time application, so many fields are available, but required fields only here I provided for demonstrating the requirement. All right, guys. Now tell me, all of you know, why we are taking this credit code number for the sake of transaction or not? For the sake of transaction or not? For the sake of course of fee or not? Okay. Now this is registration form.html. All right. Sir. Now here, what we are going to do there, I'll provide some data here. First of all, name here we want to provide there. Something else like what there, Durga. Course name is like what there, say for example, Java. Then course fee is like what there, say for example, 30,000. Full stack Java, for example, here they provided. So now here 30,000, for example. Next one is credit code number that user might be providing something else, ABC123. Some credit code numbers, maybe some expiry date and all required details might be taken here. Okay. Then after that, click on what button here, no submit button. Click on what button here, no submit button. All of you observe carefully. When we click on the submit button, automatically a request will come to the durgasoft.com. Request is coming to what there? Durgasoft.com along with the user provided data. Along with that request, that user provided data will come to durgasoft.com. Now here what durgasoft.com is able to do? What is the job of the durgasoft.com? It has to take the data, then it has to complete course registration process. Then finally it has to give some acknowledgement. What is that acknowledgement there? Then at the end, it has to provide some information to the user. What is that information there? No, let's observe this clearly. That information should be, all right, hello Durga, your course registration was successfully done, was done successfully. Successfully, we will let you know the demo details or something else. Demo details like this kind of, we are able to provide what there some response. Yes, sir. Got my point or not? This is what exactly the response here we are expecting from what there from durgasoft.com. Of course, durgasoft.com is able to provide some invoice also for the user with a link of that invoice in the response. Okay, understand it. Now this is request and a response here. And this is like what their response. Guys, now tell me, this registration form.html is available in the browser or not? This is a final response here we are able to get in what their browser or not? Okay. Now let's coming to the point, main point. When we submit request to the durgasoft.com with the data, what durgasoft.com has to do no? Durgasoft.com has to get the data from the form and it has its own database there and it has its own database. Okay. It has to store the data. But before storing the data into durgasoft.com, Durgasoft website, no, before storing data in the Durgasoft database, first durgasoft.com has to perform the transaction of the user or not? on the basis of the credit number, on the basis of credit code number. It has to perform some transaction or not. Understand this clearly. But Durgasoft doesn't have any bank services, no. Durgasoft is not having its own bank service. Moreover, it is not bank related thing. It's a training institute. So it must take some banking services or not. It must have some bank services there. Right, sir. Who has provided these bank services? No. Right. Definitely number of bank services providers are available. Best example, ICICI, Axis Bank, HDFC. Anything here we can get the service. No. I get my point or not? So when this request is coming to Durgasoft is getting that required data. With that required data, it is trying to get bank services from some bank provider. We can understand this is clearly like what there, ICICI for example. ICICI.com. This is also like what there, www.icici.com. Like this here we are getting there. So now it is also be having its own database. It is also be having like what there, its own database. It able to perform some transaction on the basis of the credit code number. Okay, now observe carefully here. I'm going to provide some technologies now. This is like what there, a servlet. Here we can provide no, a servlet or maybe a JSP or maybe a Java bean or maybe any component. Java related component is existed here. Now the Java related component, what it is doing there, again here at this ICICI Bank, ICICI.com, maybe think of it at present it is a Java, against Java application. It may be Java application, but maybe any other application also. Not exactly the meaning of what there, Java application. It may be any other one, but there also be some lines of code is available to perform the bank transaction. Transaction application is available here. It able to perform some bank transaction here. Now, all of you observe carefully. When request is coming from the registration form that HTML, what servlet will do now? Servlet will get the required data. Now, servlet must perform some bank service, must execute some bank service. So, bank service is provided by the number of bank service providers. No, then immediately this servlet is going to consume the remote service which is provided by a particular bank. By the execution of this remote service, by the execution of this remote service, there automatically the required transaction might be completed there. When the required transaction is completed, its required data will be stored in the bank database. About the transactions history, it able to provide in the bank database. Then after that, that bank application is giving some response back to like what they, some response back to the like a servlet. Servlet is what there in durgasoft.com. Now, Durgasoft.com is preparing the total response in a user understandable form, and Durgasoft.com is sending some response to like what there to the respective user. This is that application here we have to understand, guys. Yes, sir. All of you are getting clarity or not? Now tell me. Now all of you know understand this clearly. Out of this total part, out of this total part, this part is nothing but web part. This part is exactly like what there web layer. Forget my point. This part is exactly what there web layer. Now understand this clearly. Another part here I'm telling to you. Now observe carefully this part. This part is exactly like what there distributed layer, web layer and a distributed layer, business layer. Now understand this clearly. This servlet or maybe with the help of some other component, it can consume remote service or not. Now get this servlet is a Java program, and this ICICI application is also be like what there Java program. Your local mission, remote mission. Local machine contains Java program. Remote machine also contains what there? Java program. Local machine could be executed by a JVM. Remote machine application could also be executed by JVM kernel. This is like what their distributed layer. But if you observe this layer here, if you observe this part here, what happened there? This is a browser. Client is what their browser. That is fixed. Then here, server side application is what their servlet now. It able to take the data from user and it able to generate it able to send the generated response to like what there to the respective user. Or if I get my point on it, it able to get data from user and it able to send some response in an attractive manner, some response in a very good look and feel to the respective user. So now here this is server side program and this is like what their normal HTML pages there, like what their user interface. So this combination is nothing but what their web application, web layer. This is web layer. This is what their distributed layer in our enterprise applications. In that way, we are going to prepare this. But what we are doing as part of this learning, no, as part of learning, we are preparing this web layer. We are understanding web layer separately. After that, we are understanding distributed layer separately. But when we complete all the technologies there in our content, we are able to utilize like what there, both the concepts in an enterprise application development. Okay, fine. Now let's observe carefully. One more point I'm trying to introduce, no, now try to understand it clearly. No. Now tell me guys, all of you now tell me, this servlet is a Java application or not? Servlet is like what their Java program or not? No response guys. Servlet is what their Java related technology, Java program only. All of you observe carefully after this. Now here we are saying like it is what their Java application. Am I right or not? But is there any guarantee that ICICI Bank is preparing their website by using Java? Tell me, do you have any guarantee? Okay, at present I'm using ICICI Bank now. Maybe in the future I may shift from ICICI Bank to HDFC Bank. But do we give confirmation for it that HDFC Bank is using the Java application? Is that way that their website is prepared on the basis of Java? Will you give any guarantee for it? No, that website may be prepared by using PHP, or maybe it may be prepared by using .NET, or maybe Python. It may not be Java. Understand my point here, what I'm telling there. So it may be any remote application. This is like what I'm telling to you, remote application. Is a remote application there. Observe carefully. It may be anything. It is not like exactly Java. It may be like what there, anything, remote application it may be. Any technology, it may be. Got it or not? But local application is what there, Java application. But remote application is what there, non-Java. It may be Java, may not be Java. There is no guarantee for it. But still we require some consumption or not. The service consumption is required or not. That remote application may be designed in any of the technology, but that remote service must be consumed by local application or not. That durgasoft.com has to consume the bank services or not. It's mandatory or not. When request is coming for transaction, whether that remote bank application, bank service designed in Java or maybe non-Java, that doesn't matter. But at the end, Durgasoft has to consume the services from bank application or not. Right, sir. Exactly. Just 1 minute. Right, sir. Now, exactly. Then we don't have any guarantee whether this remote bank application is prepared in the Java or maybe non-Java. There is no guarantee for it. It may be any type of technology. But still, durgasoft.com has to consume the services which are provided by bank application or not. Exactly. In this particular situation, to establish the communication between Java application and non-Java application, or to establish the communication between Java application and other Java application, normal Java application and non-Java application, to establish this type of communication and to provide environment to provide environment in order to in order to access remote service from local application, there we have to go for a separate technology. That separate technology is nothing but like what their web services. What it is coming to the picture there now? Web services. Now tell me, to prepare this server-side component in durgasoft.com, what technology I have used there? Come on, what technology I have used there? Servlet. But to prepare this distributed application, if both the remote application and local application both are Java, EJBs are sufficient. You may use RMI also, no problem. Socket program also, no problem. But if your applications are in two different technology standards, not in the same technology, in two different technology standards now, there we have to provide communication, there we have to access remote service from local machine, there we are going to use like what there, a separate technology that is like what there, web services. That web services here we are able to use in order to in order to expose the remote service and in order to access the remote service from what there, our Java based local application. Now tell me, web services I've used in which layer there? Distributed layer. Servlets I've used in which layer there? Web layer. Of course, the servlet is acting as a client for what there? Remote service in distributed application. I said the same point there. In a distributed applications, client is not fixed. In a distributed applications, client is not fixed. It may be a normal Java program, or it may be what there? A servlet, or it may be an applet. Maybe I'm not in this total design part here. I may go for some other normal Java program. The normal standalone application wants to get access from what their remote application, the remote service now. There might be I may go for what their applet. There I may go for what their applet. Next one is here. Maybe a framework application. In place of this servlet, in place of this one, I may go for like what their structs application. I may go for what their JSF application. I may go for what their maybe some Spring application. Get my point or not? Then finally here, we need a client program in order to access remote services in a distributed application. In this context, I have taken as what their servlet. In this context, we have taken as what their servlet. So this is what exactly the way to provide like what their web application and distributed application in a single frame, in a single enterprise application. Yes, sir. All of you are getting clarity or not? All right, sir. Final conclusion here, I'm telling to you clearly. What is the final conclusion here? Web application in the sense, web, that means enterprise application in the sense, don't think about it only web application. Don't think about it is only distributed application. It is a combination of web layer and distribution layer, distributed layer. Then finally, that is called as like what there, an enterprise application. Right, so now observe carefully. Here, just example I'm telling there. Here we may use like what there, EJBs, maybe web services, maybe some different things here we are able to use. Right, sir. Here we have used what there, servlets. Next one here we are able to use like what there, JSPs also. Servlets and JSPs also here we are able to use. Okay, that's fine. Now this is the content here we can understand. Simple representation here I provided. No, just leave this one. Then after that, guys, I'm asking one more question to all of you. Now my main intention of taking these classes is now is what they for the sake of servlets introduction. Am I right or not? So servlet is a server-side technology. It can be used to prepare web applications. So we need to understand web application. What is a web application? If we want to understand web application, then what exactly the meaning of enterprise applications? How many types of applications we are able to prepare by using Java? In this way, here I'm taking all the points now. As part of that, now we understood clearly what exactly the meaning of standalone application, what is the meaning of an enterprise application. Inside this enterprise application, what is the meaning of like what their web applications. These concepts here we are able to provide clearly now. Yes, sir. All of you are getting it or not clearly now? All right, sir. Now observe carefully. Next point here. Listen carefully. All right, sir. In web applications, observe carefully. There are two types of responses. In web applications, there are two types of responses. Everybody, put more concentration on. In web applications, there are two types of responses. What are the two types of responses in web applications? First one is static response, and the second one is what there, dynamic response. First one is what there? Static response, and second one is what there? Dynamic response. Clear. But what is the difference between static response and dynamic response, Kernam? This is also a question. There we have to understand this clearly. What is the difference between static response and dynamic response? This is the question now. Again and again, I'm telling there, without knowing what is static response and what is dynamic response, there is no, it is waste of time to understand like what there, this is servlets. Without having awareness on static response and dynamic response, it's a waste of time to understand like what their servlets. So because of that reason, what I'm telling to all of you, everybody must aware about like what their this is servlets after understanding the static response and dynamic response. But I will give clarity now. Try to understand it clearly. First of all, let's understand the static response now. Static response is the response from server machine. Static response is the response from server machine. Okay, it will be generated. It will be generated without executing any resource. Without executing any resource at a server mission. Without executing any mission, without executing any resource at a server mission. Static response, the response from the server mission, it will be generated without executing any resource at a server mission, and it will be generated from server without performing any action, without performing any action at a server side application. Don't worry, I'll show in the form of a diagram so that we are able to understand it clearly. Right, sir. Example I'm telling there. Every user will get a login form. Every user will get login form when we use www dot then what next one get gmail.com. Am I right or not? Am I right or not? Now tell me, and one more point here I'm telling to you, observe carefully. Static response is the response which must be common to the every user of that server side application. It must be common to the every user of that server side application. It's a common to the every user of that server side application. That's the point here now. Example here I'm telling there, every user will get a login form when we use www.gmail.com. Yes, sir. Got it or not? Fine. Next one is like what there, what I'm telling there. One example I'm telling to you. Now see this one small diagram for it. One very simple diagram. Guys, before that, all of you are following these points now. See, then first 1 week, don't think about that server-side program immediately preparing an application now. First 1 week to 10 days max theoretical concepts. Why? Because still I'm talking about what part here now. I said to you number of times. Servlets in the sense web application development. Now before web application development, I'm talking there. Understand clearly now. So in web application, two types of responses here we are able to get static response and dynamic response. So servlets are mainly for dynamic response. So if you want to understand servlets and their execution and their response, no, first we have to understand the difference between static and dynamic response. No? So because of that reason, what I'm telling to you, first 1 week of time totally, 1 week to 10 days of time, completely theoretical classes. Why? Because we need to understand everything about these web applications. Then after that only we will start what they're programming. But without knowing all these things, if you're trying to start programming part here, of course you may prepare the program, but you may not have knowledge over that program. And of course, by seeing the might be the components how we prepared there, by seeing that we are able to prepare the program. But if you ask a question to you, what's going to be happen internally, you are unable to respond for it. So because of that reason, first of all, I'm giving the total platform to understand these server-side technologies. After that only, we are going to start with what there, the programming part here. So max first 1 week of time, then this Monday to maybe next, maybe this Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, we are having sessions max. I'll give the schedule maybe tomorrow, day of tomorrow, will confirm it. At what time, then what exactly the content I'm going to be covered there. So I'm going to take some sessions here maximum, depending on my schedule. So definitely I'm planning for it now. There I will give clarity what I'm going to discuss there now. After that, after this 1 week of time, maybe possibilities are available to prepare first program like welcome message now. But up to the time, we have to understand the concepts in this way only. Okay, now try to understand it. Say for example, I have a server side program. This is my server side application. So many components are available inside this server side application. But here one of the component is like what there, welcome page or maybe login page. Login page is existed here now. Simple login form dot html or JSP, whatever it may be. Whenever I'm saying it is a server side application, server side application says something else like what the login app, some application name here I'm taking there, login app, or maybe we can take anything here. Say for example, student app, or maybe something else here I'm taking there, something else. Some application I've taken there where login form dot html is available. All right, sir. Now here we are having like what there, a server. Assume it server in the sense internally container. Server, assume it now server is existed here. This is like what their server. Observe carefully. Right, sir. Then after that, after the server, then what next one here? Now here we are having client one, client two, and so on, number of clients. And so on, client n, and so on, client n. Okay, all of you observe carefully. Then after that, client one is submitting a request to the server. Client one is submitting request to the server. What is that request actually? That request contains HTTP colon slashes and so on and so on and so on and so on slash login form dot html. What it is providing there? HTTP colon slashes some URL where at the end what we are getting there no login form dot html. Then what is the job of the server actually? The job of the server is now the server will search for login form.html in the application if it is available directly. Its content will be taken by the server. Now server will send. Now server will send. Now server will send the copy of login form.html to client one from where that request is coming. Sir, got my point or not? It will get the copy from the login form.html. The total copy will be given to like what there client one. Now at client one here we are able to get like what their login page. At a client one here we are getting like what their login page. Observe carefully. Now similarly, what happened here? Now next one is like what I'm telling to you. Client two. Client two is sending request to like what their server. How the request will be submitted, you know, we can understand clearly. HTTP colon slashes and so on slash login form dot html. Again, what the server will do there, server will search for login form.html in the application. If it is available, it will get the copy of its content. That copy will be given as response to the respective client. There you are getting like what their login form or login page. Now, similarly, what happened there? Next one, after that, HTML content will be given back to like what there to the client N. Tell me guys, all of you, I'm asking one question there. How many requests are coming to the server now? N number of requests are coming. In all N number of requests now, for all N number of requests now, response is same or response is different? Response is same response or response is different? Same response only. That means same response, common response for every user. Am I right or not? Common response here we are getting. Common response you are getting for every user. So now tell me, the response is static or dynamic? Response is what there? Static response or dynamic response? Static response only. The response is what there? Static. Now, what server is doing at server mission? No, not executing any particular resource. Just getting the copy of the login form.html. That copy will be given back as response to the respective client. Getting the data from the login form.html, that content will be submitted back to what their client application. So it is a static response only. It is not performing any particular action. It is not executing any particular resource at server mission. No program is executed server mission. Just only copy the scan the content of the login form.html. The content will be given back to the respective client as a response kernel. So no action is performed at server side. Without performing any action at server side, we are getting some response. So this response is called as what their static response. Guys, this response is called as what their static response. This is okay, fine. But what is the meaning of this dynamic response actually? What's the meaning of this dynamic response? Answer is very clear. All right, sir. Dynamic response is the response from server mission. Dynamic response is the response from the server mission. It will be generated by executing a particular resource at a server mission, or by performing an action at server mission, or by performing an action at what their server mission. Okay. Right, sir. Now, this is a clear-cut information here. We can understand now about the static response and dynamic response here. No? But dynamic response diagram here I have to provide. Now try to understand this diagram here. Simple. In the same diagram, I'm trying to modify the content here. Not required. I want to go for some other diagram here. Now try to understand this clearly. Now here, I want to take like what there, a server-side application, where inside this server-side application, I'm going to prepare like what there, some servlet. What servlet here I'm going to provide there? Add servlet. Add servlet is provided here. Now here, what it is doing there, here we are able to have like what there, like an application server or web server, whatever it may be. Right, sir. Now here we are able to have a number of clients. Number of clients are existed here. This is one client, second class, and so on, a number of clients. Now observe carefully. Now client one is submitting request to this particular one. HTTP colon slash s slash. Now here I need to prepare some application. What is that application here? Add app, for example. Then inside this add servlet is available. The servlets are going to have some logical names there. or maybe locators are available. With that locators only here, we are able to prepare this particular servlet. And so on and so on and so on. Here we have to provide like what there add. Now here FL is equal to 100, SL is equal to 200. The data here we provided, input data. Now server, what server is doing there? By taking this total data, server is going to execute like what there? Add servlet. Add servlet will be executed. It able to perform the required addition operation. After providing the required addition operation, now it is providing some response to the respective server. What is that response is coming from the add servlet now? Right, sir. Now 100 and 200 here we provided here. Overall here we are getting like what there? 300 here we are getting the response now. The 300 response will be given back to like what there? To the respective client. Response we are getting like what there? 300 now. Similarly here what we are providing there? Now here we are providing like what there? We are submitting another request from what there? Second client. Now here what happened there? Now it would be like what the HTTP colon slashes and so on and so on slash add. Then where FVAL is equal to 200. Then what next one here? SVAL is equal to 300. Right, sir. Now it able to perform like what the addition operation. This time it is providing like what value can know. Right, sir. Now 200 plus 500. Now the value is like what there 500. Now this time response will be generated from server machine. Now response will come there. The response would be like what there. What is the value here we are able to get there? Our response value is like what there 5,000 here we are getting. Yes, sir. Got it or not? Now, all of you observe carefully. Similarly, another one. HTTP colon slash s slash then add comma. Then what response here we are providing there? Now it will be like what there 3000. This is like what there first val is equal to 3000. Next one is a S val is equal to like what there and 4000. Then immediately what server is providing response to us now. Now this data will be taken by our application. Application is able to perform addition operation over 3000 and 7000. Now here it able to generate like what there response is like what there 7000. Now tell me guys, I'm asking one question there. Server side application I prepared now. For all the users, what response here we are getting the same response or different response? Same response or different response? Different response. More clearly, for every request this add servlet program is executed or not? For every request, add servlet program is executed or not. That means by performing an action, by executing some resource at server machine, we generated some dynamic response. We generated some response back to the client. So this type of response is called as what there? Dynamic response. This type of response is called as like what there? Dynamic response. Right. Now let's see this one here. Dynamic response content here we are getting. Okay. So finally, now tell me, in web applications, how many types of responses are coming there? Two types of responses now. What are the two types of responses now? Static response and the second one is what there? Dynamic response. Static response is a response which is coming from server without performing any action at server machine and without executing any resource at the server machine. It should be common for every user. But dynamic response is a response which is generated from server by executing a particular resource at server machine or maybe some JSP based at server machine and it is individual to the users. The response should be individual to the users, not common to every user. That's enough. This is what exactly the point about like what there static response and what next one dynamic response. That's all guys. Now this is the story here we can understand today. Then tomorrow I'll move forward. Apart from this, what I'm going to take there and tomorrow, no? Tomorrow we are going to discuss about like what there, like how dynamic response is generated in a Java applications. How it is possible to generate dynamic response. To generate dynamic response, what technologies are available? Then after that, what are the differences between these technologies? Then all the concepts here we are going to understand, right? That's all guys. That's all for today. Then tomorrow we'll see the remaining content. Within few minutes I'll start what there, that frameworks. Now try to attend for it. Right, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Guys, please check it. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Is my voice is clear to all of you guys? Please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Yeah. All right. Good morning, guys. And check it what we completed in the last session. So if we observe the content here, so in the last session we completed differences between web applications and distributed applications. Then after that, what exactly the differences between like a static response and a dynamic response, this content here we understand clearly. Right, sir. Now let's see this. What we understand actually in web applications, there are two types of responses. What are the two types of responses in web applications there? One is static response and the second one is what there? Dynamic response. Here immediately we are getting a question. What is the difference between static response and dynamic response? Static response is a response from server machine. It will be generated without executing any resource at server machine, and it will be generated from server without performing any action at the server side application. Without executing any resource at server machine or without performing any action at server side application, if any response is generated, that response is called as what there? Static response. Static response is a response which must be common to the every user of that server side application. Common to every user of that server side application. Example, every user will get a login form when we use www.gmail.com. So for every user, no changes in the response here. Same response here we are getting. So this is exactly called as like what their static response. Some example here I've given that then every client is submitting request for what their login form.html. Here server is not executing anything at server machine. Just it will get copy of the login form.html. That copy will be given back to like what their all the clients. Client 1, client 2, and so on and so on and so on like what their client N. Observe carefully. Dynamic response is the response from server machine. It will be generated by executing a particular resource at a server machine or by performing an action at server machine. Now here we are giving some diagram. All right, sir. This is my what their server side application, web application. You can think of it. Okay. Inside this web application, there is a servlet. What is a servlet? Actually, add servlet is available. Its name is, that means locator name, or maybe URL pattern is what there. Add is a some logical name here we have taken. All right. Now all these are like what their clients. Client 1 is a submitting request to the server for the add, but where the input data is what there, FL and SL, both the values we provided there. Now the server is executing add servlet. By the execution of this add servlet, automatically here it is performing. Might be to execute this add servlet, a thread will be created. The thread is executing this add servlet code. By the execution of this add servlet code, by the execution of this particular servlet, internally some calculation will be performed. Addition operation will be performed. The 10, 100 and 200 will be added. Then finally 300 is the result. The 300 result we are getting to like what there to the computer. Understand it clearly. So next one, client 2 is submitting request with the FL and SL 200 and 300 now. Now here what happened there no? Now add servlet, that server will execute the add servlet by taking the input data is what there 200 and 300. Add servlet is performing the addition operation. Then it is providing some response to like what there to the respective client here. That is like what there 500 is a response now. Similarly, third client here. Answer my point here. Similarly, what there third client here. So now here we can understand every client is sending request to the same ad servlet, but depending on the input to data, this ad servlet is performing some operation and it is providing some response back to the respective client. Now tell me here, response is generated by executing a particular resource at server mission or not? Of course, we have taken this like what their servlet. By executing a particular resource at server mission, some response will be generated to the respective client. So this response is called as what their dynamic response. This response is treated as what their dynamic response. Observe carefully. Right, sir. Now this dynamic response is generated by executing a servlet or maybe by executing a particular resource at server mission. And this dynamic response is generated by performing an action at server mission. All right, sir. Now this is exactly called as like what their dynamic response to the respective client. Of course, might be multiple users are accessing the servlet at a time. Nothing else. For every user request, a separate thread will be created at server. That thread is executing that resource. That thread is responsible to provide what the some response. That response will be taken care by this server. It able to submit that response back to like what their respective client can. Just put focus on only dynamic response. Don't think about it, how multiple requests are processed, how multiple threads are going to be executed concurrently. That everything I will discuss with you later on. As of now, your knowledge may not be sufficient up to that level, but here only the point is what there. When we submit request to the server with some input data, now server is taking that request, server is identifying a particular resource, the server is executing that server side resource. By the execution of the server side resource only, some response will be generated. That response will be given back to the respective client. Here that response is called as what their dynamic response. Guys, please recognize this, what I'm telling to you clearly. All right, sir. Now, I want to give one conclusion here after completion of this. Now try to understand this conclusion, all of you. Here we are getting like what their dynamic response here we are getting. Am I right or not? Okay, fine. All of you understand this point clearly. How this dynamic response is generated here? How dynamic response is generated here? Now guys, now tell me how dynamic response is generated here by the execution of this server side program or not? Yeah, it may be servlet or it may be JSP, just leave it, no problem. By executing this server side program, some response is generated or not? Answer my point, Kiano. So now namesake I have taken it is what there is servlet. A servlet. So servlets are able to generate some dynamic response or not? Okay, the servlets are written in what there? The servlets are written in what there? Web applications. Am I right or not? So to prepare web applications, we are using servlets or not? Now, the concept here I'm telling you, the conclusion here I'm telling to you. All right, sir. Now the conclusion here, what I'm telling to you, from the above, from the above, from the above representation, from the above representation, we can understand it. The main purpose of servlets and JSPs, the main purpose of servlets and JSPs is to is to prepare is to prepare web applications in order to is to prepare web applications in order to generate dynamic response. The main purpose of servlets and JSPs is what there. The main purpose of servlets and JSPs is to prepare web applications in order to generate what response, guys? Now tell me, dynamic response. For the sake of generating static response, servlets and JSPs are not required. Just simply we can go for HTML pages now. If you want to generate static response, they're not required to go for what their servlets and JSPs there. Better to go for like what their HTML pages. That's sufficient. But our requirement is what there. We want to generate some dynamic response from the server mission. If we want to generate some dynamic response from the server mission, we need one application at server mission. That application is what their web application. Inside this web application, we may prepare so many components. Some components may generate static response, some other components may generate what their dynamic response. So which components are generating dynamic response there? There we can understand clearly what their servlets and JSPs clearly. Yes, sir. All of you get my point or not? Okay, fine. Now, okay. Before this, I want to give one more point here and try to understand this clearly. One more point here itself, I want to specify to you and try to understand it. All right, sir. Now, okay, I'm telling to you from the above representation, from the above representation, from the above representation, all right, sir, from the above representation to generate dynamic response, we have to use an application at server mission, that is web application. In web application, we have to use some resources. We have to use what there, some resources. In web applications, we have to use some resources. They are web resources. They're web resources like what are these web resources? No, CGI. Then what next one here? No, servlets. And what next one here? JSP as of now. That's my point here. No. From the above representation to generate dynamic response, we have to use an application at server machine. That is what their web application. In web applications, we have to use some resources such as CGI, servlets, and what next one here? No, JSpace. Then immediately I'm giving one conclusion. This is conclusion here. No. What is the conclusion I'm telling there? From the above representation, the main purpose of servlets and JSpace is to prepare web applications in order to generate what their dynamic response. This conclusion here we have to understand. Anyway, now our context is what there servlets and JSpace care. That's why directly I'm giving conclusion in the form of like what there servlets and JSpace now. Finally, guys, now tell me finally what exactly the purpose of servlets and JSpace care now. Now tell me here. What is the requirement to go for servlets and JSpace care? This is a question. Now tell me the purpose of servlets and JSpace is what there to generate, to prepare web applications in order to generate dynamic response. Of course, web applications are having some resources, HTML resources, which may provide static response. But the point is what there, web applications, in that web applications, we need to use what there, servlets and JSpace, they must generate what there, dynamic response. This is the main purpose of like what there, servlets and JSpace clearly. Yes, sir, all of you getting my point or not? That's okay, fine. Leave this one here. Then after that, after completion of this particular point now, immediately we have a question. I have a question now. Now tell me guys, what technologies here we listed there about this, like a dynamic response and about to prepare these web applications? What technologies are listed here now? CGI, servlets, and a JSpace. We listed or not? Right, sir. Now let's observe carefully. Now the point is what there to prepare web applications in order to generate dynamic response, we have already CGI. Then what is the requirement to use servlets? Then what is the requirement to use what are the servlets? This is the question here we are able to get. So we have to understand this point clearly. This is one of the interview question, guys. Maybe interviewers may ask this type of question there in web applications. To prepare web applications in order to generate dynamic response, we have already CGI. Then what is the requirement to use servlets? This is the clear-cut question here we have to answer. Right, sir? Now try to answer for it. Try to understand this particular one. Right, sir. Now I want to give some clarity. Now try to understand it now. CGI is a server-side technology. CGI is a server-side technology, common gateway interface, not any other abbreviation, same abbreviation. Right, sir. CGI is a server-side technology. All right, sir. It can be used to prepare web applications. It can be used to prepare web applications. Okay, up to that it's normal information only. Next point is important. Observe carefully. It is a process-based technology. It is what there? Process-based technology. It is a what there? It is what there? Process-based technology. Then what is the meaning of it? No, it's a process-based technology that we understood. But what is the meaning of it clearly? Right, sir. Its meaning is what there? If we send any request if we send any request for CGI component in web applications, if we send any request, or if we send a request, for CGI component in web application, if we send a request to CGI component in web applications, then CGI container, or simply speaking server, instead of saying that CGI container, in your understand, no, server will create a separate process. Server will create what there? A separate process. Answer my point here. Server will create what there? A separate process. This is for what there? For each and every request. A separate process will be created for what there? For each and every request. Observe carefully. Then, sir, now, instead of saying this, what I'm telling there, I want to modify this statement here so that we are able to understand more clearly. If we prepare web applications by using CGI, then server will create, can I use that container? The word container, can I use that? You know, already server is okay, but inside the server, who is responsible to execute components? No, container. So container is responsible. Web containers, or maybe like what there, distributed containers, so different things are available here. So now I can use the terminology like what there, container, no problem. Container and server at this level both are same, think of it, but container is a more appropriate word here. Why? Because servers are not going to execute the server side components. Inside the server, containers are going to execute what their server side components now. So container will create a separate process for each and every request. For each and every request coming from clients. Coming from client. Come on guys, observe carefully. CGI is a server-side technology. It can be used to prepare web applications. It's a process-based technology. If you prepare web applications by using CGI technology, then container will create a separate process for each and every request coming from clients. Got my point or not? Okay. Now we know already, basically, process is a heavyweight. Process is what there? Heavyweight. Am I right or not? Process is what there? Heavyweight. So CGI is a heavyweight technology. Heavyweight technology. Heavyweight technology. If it is a heavyweight technology, then what is the problem there? Heavyweight technology, then what is the problem there? It will take more memory and more execution time to perform or to execute. It will take more memory and more execution time to process any request. To process any request means that it will take more response time. Whenever it is taking more response time, automatically what it will do there, it will reduce server side applications performance. Is all of you following it or not? What I'm telling you, basically process is heavyweight. So CJ is a heavyweight technology. It will take more memory and more execution time to process any request. It will take more response time. It will reduce server side applications performance. It will reduce what their server side applications performance. Observe carefully. Got it or not? Whenever it is reducing server side applications performance, nobody will check that particular technology. Nobody will use that particular technology. Sir, got my point or not? All right, so now I want to show some diagrammatic representation for it. Now try to understand it clearly. Everybody understand these points, no? See, that fundamental concepts are very important. Try to understand the concepts what I'm telling to you. All right, now this is like what I'm telling to you. Server side application. This is like server side application. Simply speaking, web application only, not any other one. Now inside this web application, we are able to have like what there? A CGI component. This is like what there is CGI component. You can understand CGI. In which way we are having servlets? In the same way, some CGI component. Now, here we are having server. This is like what I'm telling to you, server. Observe carefully. This is server. Here multiple clients are existed, no, and so on. So many clients are existed. Client one, and this is like what there. Client two, and so on and so on. Client n, number of clients are existed. Client n. Now observe carefully. All these clients are sending requests to the CJ component only. Server or container, that doesn't matter as of now. Let us give difference between these two also. Now, client one is submitting request to what there to the server for the sake of what there CGI component. Okay, then immediately what the server will do there? Immediately server will create a process. Server will create what there? A process. All of you observe carefully. A process will be created. This is for what there P1 process. Now that P1 process is taking the responsibility of executing the total program. P1 process is responsibility of taking execution of like what there? So CGA component can. Now this is not a thread. Please recognize this. This is what there? A process can. Next one, client 2 is submitting request at the same time or maybe after processing the first request. This is request 2. This is like what I'm telling the request 1 and this is like what the request 2. All right. Now with respect to this request 2, automatically another process will be created, P2 process. P2 process will be created. Now this P2 process is going to execute the required CGA component. Now it will be executed. Don't think about these lines or threads now. Just think of it processes. Okay, and so on and so on and so on. So many requests are coming in. Finally, last request is submitted from client N. Maybe at the same time or maybe one after another. That doesn't matter now. Now this is like what I'm telling there, request N. With respect to this request N, what happened there now? At server side, server will create, container will create so many processes. Container will create what there? So many processes. Like what there? Pn, process N, it is created. Now process N is coming to the application. Now CGA component will be executed by the same application. Of course, all these requests are coming to the same single CGA component or multiple CGA components, that doesn't matter. All these requests are coming to the single CGA component or multiple CGA components, that doesn't matter. Observe carefully. But finally, for every request, a separate process has to be created. So multiple processes have to be executed at server side. The process is basically a heavyweight component, then it may take more memory and more execution time. When it takes more memory and more execution time, automatically response time for the client will be increased. Means that performance of the server side application will be reduced. So once it is reducing performance of the server side application, nobody is thinking about like what there. Nobody will use this particular technology in our web application development. Understand guys what I'm telling you now? So this is exactly the meaning of like what there CGI. That means CGI and its a drawback here we can understand. That's now. Let me check this. Right, sir. Basically, this is what their process-based technology. That is another point. Okay? One more point I'm telling to you. Now, try to understand it. No, CGI is more error-prone technology. Understand the word? More error-prone technology. What's the meaning of it? No. What's the meaning of it? No. More number of chances are available to get errors, even in a small piece of code. Guys, observe carefully what we are able to get there. CGI is a more error-prone technology. More chances are available to get errors even in a small piece of code. The code is very less, but more number of errors will come. That syntax is, the technology is defined in this way. So that's why it is like what there, more error prone technology. Sir, all of you get my point or not? All right, sir, that's okay, fine. Next one is after that, then one more point here I forgot to specify actually. CJ is a server-side technology. It can be used to prepare web applications. Right, sir. And then one more point I'm telling there. It was designed. It was designed on the basis of C and some other scripting languages. Some other what they're scripting languages. Yeah, this point I forgot to give that. Then what is this? No, it was designed on the basis of what programming language there? C and some other scripting languages. Tell me, C is process based or thread based? Majorly process based. Of course, threads also we can create, but it's very less. But majorly what they know, process based. As per that we are getting, it's a process based technology. Then remaining concept is as it is. Yes, sir. All of you get my point or not? Right now, tell me, by understanding this diagram, for every request, a separate process is created or not? Handling process will take lot of time. Handling process is what there? Lot of time. So, what is alternative for it now? What's the alternative for it now? Handling process will take lot of time. That's okay. That we understood that. Then what is the alternative? Process is heavyweight. Then what is the alternative for process now? Come on. In general, what is the alternative for process now? Thread, thread-based technology. Thread is an alternative for what there? Process can. Guys, understand it now. Here, how multi-threading is coming into the picture. How threads concept is coming into the picture. Observe carefully. If you don't know multi-threading, you're unable to understand anything internal in the future. Of course, we are not going to use multi-threading explicitly. In server-side applications, we are not going to create threads explicitly. But internally, servers are designed. The server-side application execution is designed totally on the basis of multi-threading. If you don't know multi-threading, nothing is going to be understandable to you. Once you are not understanding clearly internals, no, it is not possible to design the applications effectively. Basic applications only we are able to prepare, but complex applications and performance point of view, if you want to do some activity with our application, no, not possible for you if you don't know anything about multi-threading. So here multi-threading intention is coming there. Now try to understand it clearly. All right, sir. Now as for this, we need to go for what there? Some alternative technology. We need to go for server. That means we need to go for thread-based server-side technology. We need to go for what there? Thread-based server-side technology. Now, what is thread-based server-side technology? What is this thread-based server-side technology? Now that is what their servlets. That is what their servlets. Now observe carefully. Servlets is a server-side technology. Servlet is a server-side technology to prepare web applications. To prepare web applications. Here also we specify the same point. CGI is a server-side technology. It can be used to prepare web applications. Okay, fine. To prepare web applications. Okay. Next one is it was designed on the top of Java. It was designed on the top of what there? Java, especially J2SE, core Java. The servlets is designed on the top of what there? Core Java. All right, sir. Where Java is a thread-based programming language. Am I right or not? Java is what there? Thread-based programming language. Moreover, multi-threaded programming language. Moreover, multi-threaded programming languages. Multi-threaded programming language. All right, sir. What is the meaning of it now? Moreover, multi-threaded programming language. What is the meaning of it now? The point is very clear. Moreover, multi-threaded programming language. So servlets is a thread-based server-side technology. Server-side technology. Now, please remember this. I'm using the term here. Java is a thread-based programming language. I'm telling there. But when I come for servlets now, I'm telling it is what there? A technology. Core Java is a programming language, but servlet is what there? A technology. Don't say servlet is a programming language. Don't say core Java is a technology. No. What's the difference? You know, very startup one, new definitions, new syntaxes, and new conventions. That is nothing but what there? A programming language. On the top of this startup one, if you prepare some libraries for a particular type of applications, on the top of this startup one, on the top of this programming language, if you prepare some libraries in order to prepare a particular type of application, then it is called as what their technology. JDBC is a full of libraries designed on the top of core Java to prepare database related applications. Servlets is a full of libraries designed on the top of what their core Java to design what their web applications. So here JDBC is a technology, servlets is a technology, but core Java is what there is a programming language. Understand the difference also clear? No, servlet is what there a server side technology. Now come for this point here. Servlet is a server side technology to prepare web applications. It was designed on the top of Java, where Java is a thread-based programming language, moreover multi-threaded multi-threaded language. So servlet is also a thread-based server-side technology. Then what is the advantage of it now? If we design web applications by using servlets, if we design web applications by using servlets, then container in the sense what their server. Of course, inside the server, container is going to execute our servlets. No, container will create a separate thread for each and every request coming from client. Guys, observe carefully what I'm telling you. If we design web applications by using servlets, then container will create a separate thread instead of a process for each and every request coming from client. Right. Now, what is the point here? What is the comparison now? Where thread is a lightweight, where thread is what there? Now tell me, lightweight technology. Thread is a lightweight component. Thread is a lightweight component. Come on, what is the next point here now? Thread is a lightweight component. So servlets is a lightweight server-side technology. Then what next one here? It will take less memory, and what next one now? Less execution time to process requests. So it will reduce what it will reduce then? Now tell me, it will reduce overall response time. When it reduces overall response time, then what it will happen then?
Yeah, morning all. So myself, I'm Vijay. I hold like 17 plus years of experience, which includes nearly. Yeah, morning all. So myself, I'm Vijay. I hold like 17 plus years of experience, which includes nearly 8 plus years of experience in Python environment. So my experience includes design, development, and implementation of Python and Django based applications. So well versed in implementing different Python libraries like Beautiful Soup, NumPy module, Pandas module, CP module, PyTables, Matplotlib, URL right? Experience in implementing large-scale business critical systems using object-oriented design and programming concepts using Python and Django. So as part of today's demo, I'm going to cover the following topics. So before I start, can anyone please confirm whether my voice is clear, whether the screen is visible or not, right?
Yes, Vijay, your voice are clear.
Thank you. Okay, so as part of today's demo, I'm going to cover the following topics. Today and tomorrow, I'll be discussing about these concepts. Why Python means a kind of technology which is very recently introduced, right? It was introduced in the year 1989. Then why all of a sudden Python has got a great boom? Reasons which makes Python super popular, right? And who can learn Python? Who can learn Python? And how Python was built? Who can learn Python and how Python was built, right? Yes. Who can learn Python means there is no prerequisites for learning Python. Anybody can update with Python means that doesn't mean that you need to have that knowledge of C or Java. There is no prerequisites. Anybody can update with Python. Python syntaxes are little different as compared with other programming. Python statements look like normal English statements. They are not as complex as other programming. I'll just brief you with taking some example codes, right? Comparing with other programming, how simple this Python statements and very less coding we are going to see, right? And Python real-time applications, what kind of applications are getting developed by using Python and who are using Python today? Topmost applications built by using Python and Python comparison. Python comparison with other programming, right? And reasons why Python is suddenly super Python scope and job market. The scope of Python and job market of Python. That's okay. So why Python? I define Python in 5 lines. It's a general purpose programming. Multi-programming features are involved and high-level language, interpretation language, and user-friendly programming language. It's general purpose programming, multi-programming features, it's a high-level language, interpretation language, user-friendly programming language. Okay. General purpose programming means it's a Python is a general purpose. Yes. So before Python, we have got some languages like Pascal, Fortran. If you heard about these languages like Pascal, Fortran, COBOL, these languages are purpose-based languages. Pascal, Fortran, COBOL, or what? Purpose-based languages. They are used for a specific purpose. These are used for a specific purpose, not for all the purposes, right? Pascal, if you talk about the Pascal used for developing scientific applications, Fortran for complicated mathematical applications, COBOL for business applications. So these are used for a specific purpose, purpose-based languages. These are purpose-based languages which are suitable for developing. So a language which is suitable for developing any kind of application, right? Such a language we call it as general purpose programming language. We call it as general purpose programming language. Okay. So Python is such a kind of Python is a general purpose programming. It's not purpose to base. It's not for a specific purpose. Any kind of applications we can develop by using Python, like web applications, automation applications, animation applications, gaming applications, desktop applications, embedded applications, networking applications. In this way, wide varieties of applications we can develop by using Python. It's not purpose based. It's not for a specific purpose. Okay. So Python is a general purpose programming, and it's a multi-programming features are involved. Multi-programming features. What all the features we see in different other mobiles? Sorry, if other programmings, right? So all the features you can see within this Python. Means, for example, if you take a labor example, if you want to launch a new product into the market, if you think you want to launch a new mobile phone into the market, right? What features you want to see within that, right, to attract the customers, the different features what we see in different other mobiles, everything if you're embedding into a single piece, Yes, it's going to attract the customers, right? In the same way, Python is kind of programming which has got the features of different other programmings within it. Multi-programming. That's why we call Python as a hybrid language. So it has got the features of object-oriented, procedural-oriented, modular programming, scripting features, right? Because of this multi-programming, later I'll brief you about what are the features we see in Python. Okay. It's a high-level language. Python is a high-level language. There are two types of languages. There are two types of languages. Low-level language and high-level language. Low-level languages and high-level languages. Low-level languages. Example of low-level languages like assembly level language, assembly level, or machine level language, right? These are, firstly, they are not human understandable. They are not human understandable. They are not portable. They are not human understandable. They are not portable. Machine dependent. They cannot run on all the hardware and all the operating system, right? It's machine dependent. So low level languages, assembly level languages, right? These are not human understandable. They are not portable, and they are machine dependent, cannot run on all the hardware and all the operating systems, right? Yes. High level language. High level language. Example of high level. Python is a high level language. It is human understandable. Python is human understandable, portable, and machine independent. Can run on all the hardware and all the operating systems, right? It's human understandable, it's portable, and machine independent, right? It can run on all the hardware and all the operating systems. Yes. Fine. Interpretation language. Python is an interpretation language, right? Line by line execution we are going to see in Python. Compilation and interpretation. Compilation, they are going to compile that entire code at once. If you've got 10 lines of code, it executes all the 10 lines code at once and displays the errors if any, right? But interpretation, line by line execution, line by line execution. If you got error in this line, it won't execute the remaining lines. Abnormal termination, right? Yes. Python is an interpretation, line by line execution, which makes debugging easy, right? Yes. User-friendly programming language, user-friendly programming or programmer-friendly programming language. User-friendly programming or programmer-friendly programming language, right? The syntaxes of Python looks like normal English statements. They are not as complex as other programming, right? Fine. So Python is a general purpose programming. Any kind of applications can be developed. Multi-programming features we see. High-level language, easily understandable, machine independent, and portable, right? Interpreted line by line execution and user-friendly, simple syntax is given by Python. So how Python was derived and how Python was built, right? Yes, Python has taken the features from many programming languages. So from which programming languages Python has taken the features from? Python has what features like procedural oriented features, procedural oriented programming features, procedural oriented programming features like example like C language. It has got the features of this object oriented programming like scripting languages like example shell script. And modular programming, right? Modular programming, right? Modular 3. Procedural oriented like C language, object oriented like C++, Java, scripting features like shell script and modular programming like Modular 3. Because of this multi-programming features, right? I call Python as a hybrid language. So, okay, just like C language, we can develop applications like C++, like Java, like Modular 3, we can develop many applications, right? If we take example of Java, the Java programmers or developers are strictly restricted to use only object-oriented programming features, right? But in Python, with object-oriented, without object-oriented, with procedural-oriented, right? We can develop many types of applications. Okay. Okay. Now, not only this procedural oriented features, Python has got scripting features where we can write many automation scripts today, like robotics. We are writing automation scripts in AWS DevOps. We are writing automation scripts in IoT. We are writing automation scripts, right? And modular programming. Because of this modular programming, right? Python has got great boom today, right? With nearly 89,300 inbuilt modules. 89,300 inbuilt modules Python has got for various domains. So whatever domain you are from, right, Python is providing a module. For every environment, Python has got a module. For networking environment, Python has got separate modules. For testing, it has got separate. For data science, it has got separate modules. For big data, it has got separate modules. If you want for operating system kinds of activities, separate modules it has got. And for working for different files, for Excel files, Python providing separate module. Means we no need to write that code, but directly by using that Excel module, I can create a Excel file or Excel workbook. Python program to create a Excel file. Python program to create a PDF file. Just by executing this Python code, a Excel file should be created. By executing this Python code, a PDF file need to be created at whatever location I specified, with whatever name I provided, right? Yes. Similarly, for every database, right? Python has got a module using which you can connect with that, right? For Oracle, we have got CX underscore Oracle module. For MySQL, for SQL Server, for all this, Python has got separate modules using which we can connect with the databases also. File formats. So in this way, 89,300 modules for every environment Python is providing. That's why Python is widely used today, mostly used today. In even Python is used as an implementation language today in various high-end technologies, right? Because of its hybrid features. Even NASA is using Python today because of its research and development activities. NASA is using Python because of multi-programming features of Python, right? Hybrid features. And what kind of applications? So these are the programming features. What all the features we see in different other programmings, we see all those in Python also, right? And Python real-time applications. What kind of applications we can develop today by using Python? Python mostly used for developing what kind of applications? Okay. Python mostly used today for creation of, okay, for web applications. For web applications, it is used, right? For Python real time, what kind of applications means web applications. So you may ask, we have got Java, .NET, all this. They are used for developing web applications from the last 20-25 years. Why again Python? Python providing frameworks like Django, right? Is providing frameworks like Django. At a rapid speed, we can develop a web application using these frameworks. No need to write huge codings. Already you will be having inbuilt. It has Django is going to has got many flexible features. It has got its own database. It has got its own application server, and Python used for automation applications. For automation applications, right? Lot of automation applications getting created today by using Python, using technologies like data science, using technologies like IoT, using technologies like DevOps or AWS, right? If I talk about this IoT, it is a physical network or device embedded with software, sensors, electronics, and network connectivity for exchanging data, and controlling the things from the place where we are, right? And so here 90%, see IoT, Internet of Things, everything through internet, right? Today, everything through online, right? Online banking, online shopping, online exams, online education, e-learning, online banking, online communication, audio, video chatting, online gaming, online healthcare, right? So today everything through online, right? So electronic devices connecting and communicating with each other, right? Okay, so 90% of the coding what we see is in Python, right? In IoT. For data science also, everything deals with the data. Data has got experience. Data has got future reference. Using data or data science, we perform data analysis, data predictions, data classifications, data clustering, data recommendations. So it's a blend of technique. The main technique what we see in machine learning, ML, right? ML, machine learning. So again, machine learning, right? If you observe ML, it's a technique, right? To provide some data patterns to an application based on which we make the application to predict in the automated fashion. We have got many ML techniques. ML, okay, regression techniques, classification techniques, clustering techniques, recommendation techniques, pattern matching techniques, right? In this way, many techniques are available. For all the techniques to implement or to code, we require a language. So Python is the mostly chosen or mostly used programming for this, yes, machine learning environment, right? Yes. Even in AWS or DevOps, right? So Python is one of the best scripting language with vast varieties of libraries, right? So it acts as a remedy to any problem in the software industry, right? When it comes to DevOps, the DevOps or AWS, the ultimate goal is to reduce the time taken in DevOps lifecycle in improving the efficiency, right? So Python offers a structural solution in terms of automating the tasks in each of the stages of DevOps lifecycle, starting from the requirement gathering, the system design, in system implementation, system testing, system deployment, and system maintenance. Python is one of the best scripting languages with vast varieties of libraries, which allows to write scripts for the improved development lifecycle, right? Yes. So apart from this, Python is also used within this big data environment. We should have seen like KBs of data, MBs of data, GBs of data, TBs, terabytes, petabytes, exabytes, zettabytes, etabytes, zottabytes. Yes. So from TB onwards, we say like big data, huge data, right? So even for big data applications, right, like huge data in TBs or petabytes. Today, if we talk like Facebook, YouTube, Google, all this, right, most of the social media sites, right, generating huge data in TBs or petabytes. So to handle those, we have got some big data technologies like Hadoop and Spark. Hadoop and Spark, right? Spark, very high speed processing. So both they are using languages like Scala, Python, all this, right? So Spark with Python implementation, like PySpark, we say. Fine. Apart from this, for scientific application, for scientific applications and for numerical analysis, right? This Python is used like models like NumPy, numerical Python, CP, scientific Python, right? And apart from this, Python is used for graphical user interface or for animation applications. Lot of animation applications getting developed today by using Python. We use models like PyQt, TK-inter modules, and game for game development. Lot of games are getting developed today by using Python. Single user, multi-user games, right? Online games. Especially for game development, Python providing a framework called Pygame, right? It's providing a framework called Pygame. Along with not only that, one more framework called PyCara, right? So the two frameworks given by Python for game development. Apart from this, we have got some 3D rendering libraries like PySoy for 3D games, right? Yes. And apart from this, Python used for scheduling tasks. Scheduling tasks, right? Yes. Every day or every week or every month, so and so time, right? Scheduling tasks. We have got Airflow for it. And for testing or test cases, Python also used for testing or test cases. Apart from this, Python used for software development. Used for software development. See, software developers make use of Python as a support language. So they use, for example, we use Buildbot, Apache Gum for automation, compilation and testing, and Roundup Track for project management and bug tracking, right? So here, even for software development, Python is chosen, right? And apart from this, for business applications, right? Python is one of the best choice in developing e-commerce sites, e-commerce websites. So like we have got a Triton, a three-tier high-level general purpose applications, right? Application. And apart from this, by one of the hottest application of Python, database application, right? Without database, there is no web application, right? So Python can connect with any database like MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, SQL Server, all this, right? And apart from this, Python, okay, for network applications, for network programming, Python has got a separate framework providing, right? Yes, Twisted Python. It's a framework given by Python for, yes, Twisted Python for the, okay. Network applications, Twisted by, okay. Software development, business applications, database applications, network applications. Apart from this, Python is used for web scraping data or harvesting data from different websites. That is extracting data from different websites like Flipkart or Amazon, other things, right? We are going to scrap the data. If data is database, we'll query it. If not in the database, we are going to scrap the data from websites. We have got model for URL BS4 modules, right? For this web scraping. And apart from this, Python used for audio and video applications. Audio and video applications. Audio and video applications, right? So some Python also used for creation of audio and video applications, like example like Team Player, C Player, some of the examples of this. And also Python used for embedded application, not only for computer applications, even used for electronics and civil side also, right? Like embedded applications, the most famous embedded application like Raspberry Pi, which uses Python for its computation. And apart from this, for CAD, computer aided designing or 3D CAD applications, right? Python is preferred. And apart from this, for computer vision, for face detection, color detection, object detection, right? We use Python. And for robotics, and we use Python script is used. And for desktop applications creations, single user applications, or for console applications, right? Python is preferred, right? So these are the different types of applications getting developed by using Python today, right? Not only this, we have got many other applications, but Python mostly used for creation of these applications. Who are using Python today? Who are using Python today? Topmost applications built by using topmost applications built by using Python. Okay. What are the topmost applications? Means many applications built by using Python, right? And who are using Python, and topmost build applications built by using Python means, for example, Google. Google uses Python for its web search systems. Google is one of the best example for Python web application. And YouTube using Python for its video sharing service. Yahoo using Python, and Uber using Python. Uber pricing algorithm implemented using Python. Instagram. Instagram is built by using Python. The prime reason for Instagram to choose for Python is its practicality and its simple features. And there are some other applications, like if you heard about Quora, Reddit, Pinterest, Dropbox. And apart from this, the topmost OTT platform like Netflix also using Python. Netflix using Python for its security automation for subscription purpose. And MMOG, massively multiplayer online games. And Maya, a powerful 3D animation, just like Photoshop, we have got Maya, powerful 3D animation which uses Python scripting, right? Yes. BitTorrent using Python for its file sharing service. And apart from this, iRobot for military and commercial operations, right? And Ironport email server. Ironport email server, which uses more than 1 million lines of Python code to do its job, right? Ironport email server. And Python used, companies like IBM, Seagate, Qualcomm, all these they use Python for hardware testing purpose, right? For hardware testing. So these are some of those, right, applications which are built by using and who are using Python, and many other applications we see like using Python today, right? Okay. And now from the discussion we had, right? So reasons which makes Python super popular, right? Today why Python is mostly used, especially from the last 3-4 years, right? The usage of Python has increased a lot. If it just the two major programming languages, Java and Python, right, both used for enterprise application. If you go back like 2010 or 2000, like 10 years back or 12 years back, right? So the usage of Java in the industry is 43% used in the industry, right? And Python in 2010, even most of them are not aware that there is a programming language like Python. It is only 3% used. But now, if you go back after 10 years in 2020 or 22, right? So the usage of Java decreased, right, to 19%, and the usage of Python increased to 31%. Means Java is never used to implement data science, machine learning, all this, right? So Python is mostly used within that environment, right, for automation applications and many other applications as we discussed. So here, reasons which makes Python super popular. So I'll show you some graphs right now. So to just show the usage of Python, Java, and other programming languages, and reasons why Python Reasons why Python is suddenly super popular. Reasons why Python is suddenly super popular. Okay. Most of the programmers or developers are attracted towards Python because of Python. Very less coding we see in Python, very less code as compared with other programs.